Good morning. Welcome to OP Live here in Dallas, Texas, powered by the Dallas Fuel and Team Envy, and of course, event technology provided by Reaction AV.
Definitely. We're going to have good time here. We're going to have the event being DJ'd by Telecast. Make sure that you check them out. You can find them on YouTube and SoundCloud as well. And make sure that you look at their new single, which will be Talk Again.
This event is put on by eGency Global in collaboration with SMU Guildhall. It's the #1 video game development school in the world, in case you didn't know. And of course, eGency Global is a local esports marketing agency. We're trying to do a local vibe. We have a lot of streamers and teams, and we're all from Texas. Well, mostly from Texas.
And then, of course, make sure that you are participating in the OP Live Odyssey, which is a series of quests that you can complete and unlock achievements for. And by unlocking those achievements, you can earn some prizes if you unlock enough achievements. And those will appear on the screen. And they will also appear after Power Talks as well as after the finals for the event. And you can make sure to go and download the OP Live app to participate in that.
Yeah, we definitely got some good prizes. Make sure to get that app on your phone. I already got it for me. So our schedule today, we're hoping to get started with our first match on stream pretty soon here. The group stage has already gotten started for the Overwatch tournament. We're going to see the schedule on the screen right here. But we saw Arlington is already out of Group B, and we're going to be seeing ACU versus SMU coming up shortly here.
Yep, and Arlington out in first place there, so ACU and SMU will be coming up here in just a moment, so the winner of them will actually be advancing to the quarterfinals, and then we'll get to see who they're going to play against a little bit later for that. So we got an opportunity to speak with a few of the teams, so we got a few players that we'll keep an eye out for, and we'll get into that once we actually get the game going, just so that we can give you guys a little bit more insight for some of the players, a few of the characters that they're going to be playing.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed Arlington able to make it out of the group stage first place. What do you think about that?
Solid job from them, speaking with them, and judging by their rankings and everything else, I'm not too surprised for it, but it'll definitely be interesting for coming up to see how the teams are going to be matching up, what type of meta is kind of developing for everything. I know that a lot of teams are going with the 3-3 comp with the 3 supports and the 3 taints, goats, as they like to call it, for those of you. And so we'll definitely be checking them out in just a moment. Yeah, as soon as the teams get loaded up, get into the lobby and everything. Mr. Bob Sparts is the person that I'm going to be keeping an eye on for sure. Try and see what he's going to be able to do for his team. And then Archie as well, who they had mentioned was a really high-ranking player. We won't mention it just yet until we actually see him in-game, but he'll definitely be somebody to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, those are definitely our players to watch going into this match. And of course, we got to go with our picks. Who are you taking in this matchup?
I think I'll actually go with ACU. I
ACU?
think that's what I'll end up saying for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to go with the hometown favorites, I'm guessing. I really like SMU here. I think they've got a good shot, and I think Archie's really going to show off his skills well today.
Yeah, and that'll definitely depend on teamwork. I mean, Archie, even though he's going to be such a high-rated player and everything, we'll see how much he's going to be able to carry his team exactly, depending on who the teams are able to focus and their synergy for everything. We'll definitely find out what's going to be going on.
And it looks like we are getting into the maps here very shortly. We're going to be playing on Volskaya Industries. Seeing that statue right there, pointing to the sky.
I've always wondered how the Mets don't get frozen off in the far distances for everything. You would think that those things would be all stiff and whatnot.
The robots?
Yeah, definitely.
No. I mean, they know that the robots are going to be in Russia, right? So they build them like specially with the like ice armor or whatever to like make sure that they don't freeze, you know.
I guess. Then why do they have that main one inside? These are questions that we must know.
Yeah. I mean, where are our answers? Well, it looks like we're going to be starting with ACU on the defense here. And this first point on Volskaya can be very tough to crack. Sometimes I mean, sometimes people cap it really fast, other times people full hold, so.
Yeah, Volskaya is definitely a bit interesting since you do have the flank around the left-hand side, depending on how you're looking at it. But coming out of the offensive side, if you have people with mobility who have a little bit more aerial movement, such as the Diva, maybe like the Lucio Tracer, you could triple blink up over that point. Winston's a little tricky for that jump. Make sure you don't try that without some practice in your comp games, or else people are definitely going to be mad at you.
Yeah.
But we'll see if we're going to see any flanks here. Pharah's typically come out on the first point since you have a bit of wide open area on the point. It's going to be a bit hard for teams to stay away from all that. But getting into the game, we are going to kick it off here.
And here we go. We are seeing SMU come out of spawn now, pushing towards this choke point. They're going to be looking for some poke, looking for that first opportunity. They're going to try and take this engagement here, but this defense of ACU is not really having it right now. SMU trying to look for an opening here.
So depending on the low ground, somebody's in the back though trying to cap as they're going to be sending somebody off to the point. Actually going to pick off Mr. Bob Sparks.
Yeah, there we go. SMU pushing through, already finding their first 2 kills. Looking for more. Mercy going down low. Zarya, no shield. A big anti-nade from AEI on that Ana. Well played, and SMU going to get a very quick cap, just like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Less than a minute here.
Looks like that they are going to cap it almost instantly for that, so solid job for SMU to be able to push up into it. ACU looked like they struggled a good bit, as we're going to see a swap coming out as they try to defend on the second point. We'll see how the ultimates are going to favor SMU pushing into this. Of course, the Tracer doing a good bit of damage, probably going to be close to that pulse bomb as they're going to push up. Having this dive comp, we'll see who they actually end up jumping on in the back line, as Reaper up there is trying to melt out the Winston, but doesn't get too much.
I'm very interested in, I mean, I wonder why they decided to go for this Hanzo switch on this defense. I mean, personally, I would have gone for like a Pharah or a Junkrat, just try and get as much damage and disruption into this SMU offense as possible. But look, like I said, the Hanzo is not working. Already 2 kills, make it 3, make it 4 with the Diva Bomb from Vespa there. And it's just going to be cleaning up the rest of this fight for SMU.
Trying to stall the game outright here. Hardcates is going to fall as the percentage tits up over 50%. We see the Winston Primal Rage popped in the back, trying to charge in with the Reinhardt, but doesn't find too much, trying to get knocked off the stage as Archie.
Trying to get a cheeky little boop there from Hammer Doom, but unable to find what he was looking for. And the Earth Shatter and the Death Blossom come in for ACU. Will they be able to stabilize this? They've taken down both of SMU's healers.
That was actually really impressive for them to be able to, seems, recover there at the very end. We did actually see the Reaper ultimate coming out on the point, probably being able to dish out enough damage for the rest of the team to be able to stabilize on the point. So ACU, solid job on the defense. Ooh, somebody's contesting though.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what they were going for there. Maybe just trying to get a little bit of extra percentage. But, I mean, I thought that fight was all but over. I thought we were going to be seeing ACU get ready for their attack run here. But great stabilization by them. And they've still got some ults left to work with.
Yeah, seeing that we do have the sound barrier going to possibly come out. We actually have the grab lead off the fight, though. Diva will be trapped in there, going to get demet, and Winston will fall as well, as it seems it's all but clean up here, and the defense will likely hold, trying to kill the baby Diva. Gets her in the very end.
And, you know, I know that Sombra's really strong right now, but I think it's time for SMU to give up on the Sombra pick.
Yeah, likely. It's really reliant, of course, on being able to kind of take the team by surprise. You got to get that EMP up extremely quickly. But once the team actually knows that you're running it, and then once you're running it consistently, it can be a bit hard to catch people off guard, since they're knowing, hey, maybe we have to hide some of our healers, save their ultimates, maybe save some of their offensive abilities so they can pop out around the corner afterwards. As Archie's kind of just around the corner poking, we'll see who's jumping in here.
We'll see. They're ready to jump in yet again. The Nano goes on to Hammer Doom on that Winston. They've already got the first kill. There goes that Reinhardt. Another big anti-nade from AEI. Fantastic Ana play from this SMU offense. They're going to keep going, but another Death Blossom comes through. Zathras taking down 2, and that might be all. Vespa trying to fight back, though. Can SMU stay on this point?
They're really struggling here. It looked like that it was all over, but then the Reaper comes in, of course, with the Death Blossom as Archie's coming back from spawn. We'll see if he's going to be able to make it up to his team in time. Mr. Bob is going to take out victory there on the point, and it looks like they will stabilize once more. ACU, solid job to be able to hold off again. Now, mind you, SMU did end up getting the second tit there, so they'll only need to capture 33.3% left in order to actually take the second point.
Yeah, they've had that second tick, but they got even more percentage onto that. ACU just trying to hold on tight here, trying to give themselves a chance on offense.
And we haven't seen too much of the swap here. I believe that we saw Smacks and I know that he was on the Brigida a little bit earlier as they're actually diving back on the point. Here we go.
Yeah, here comes that dive. Hammer Doom on the Winston coming through, but the rally coming out for that ACU defense, keeping everybody nice and armored up, even after yet another big anti-nade from AEI, almost the entire team caught. But that armor from Brigitte is so strong, keeping everybody up there.
So this is such an interesting comp to me. You have the Mei and you have the Reaper. Both of these characters are going to be, of course, fairly short range for Mei to actually get off her freeze on the targets. Of course, she does have her alternate fire, which is going to be those icicles, which can go further range. But, of course, the delay, since it is a projectile, is going to be a little bit more difficult to hit. But no swaps really to counter either of those pits on the side of SMU as they're pushing up once more. We'll see if they're going to be able to finally crack this defense.
There comes a pulse bomb from Archie, unable to find the kill he's looking for though. The DMEC comes out, Brig goes down, an EMP comes out late for SMU, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, they're going to have to swap off from their pits, I feel. Not being able to crack this Reaper, of course, with him being such close range and working so well with the taints and then being able to shred the Brigida shield, since, of course, it's not as beefy as the Reinhardt shield. Defensive Matrix, of course, only has such a limited amount of time.
Yes, especially trying to play dive into this comp. So much close range damage, as you mentioned, and dive loves to dive into close range and get that damage close range, and that's the risk that you take. They're going to keep running with it. Let's see if they can maybe try and find the adjustment that they're looking for, but ACU still looking nice and comfortable here. And there goes the dive from Hammer Doom, but he gets caught out by himself, no Diva to help him, and that's a very bad loss. Here comes the Blizzard, another rally, and Vespa gonna get frozen there, unfortunately. He's just gonna try and get himself out. He is gonna be able to avoid getting staggered there, but ACU putting up a strong showing on their second point defense.
Solid use of the ultimates there as well for them to throw out the Blizzard as well as the Coalescence just to be able to utilize their ultimates extremely well. Not blowing anything else with that, but we'll see how they're going to be able to craft the defense on SMU, possibly just waiting for a bit of ultimates to come up to see if they can combo that in some way. Not having a grab will be interesting to see who the Pulse Bomb goes onto, but here we go, Hammer down, jumping
yet
back
again, jumping in. The Nano comes out, Pulse Bomb. Oh, the Pulse Bomb stuck to the Zarya, actually takes out the Moira. Vespa finds a Diva Bomb kill, but Zathras coming in with that Death Blossom takes out AEI. That's a huge kill for this ACU defense. AEI having such a big impact on that Ana. No more heals left for this SMU offense on this point. They don't have a lot of time either, so it's pretty much going to be this fight.
Still not able to craft this. You have less than 40 seconds now at this point. You're going to have one final push going into the last point, which of course we saw a bit of ultimates burn. They led off with the Diva ultimate as well as with the Nano boost, and then of course we saw Hammer Doom end up going in very aggressively there as well. So doesn't look like that we're going to have any swaps quite yet. We'll see what they're going to be able to do for ACU to be able to hold out here. They've done a fantastic job after losing that first point so quickly. So here we go. Leading it off will likely be the Sombra and Winston.
Oh, they come through with the EMP, but it gets stunned by the Brig. A huge play by Finch of Flight right there. That was, I think, another one of our people to watch out for. And Mr. Pop Sparks on that Mei, finding so many kills, but really, I mean, we saw it coming in. The camera was on it. Cryptism, perfect positioning on that Sombra, coming in, ready to get the EMP, and Finch of Flight right there for the stun.
That was amazing. Good job for him to be able to realize who he needs to focus on and to be able to get that stun off and completely neutralize that EMP from the Sombra. That probably totally won them the fight, just flat out. As soon as that was gone from the equation, then ACU is just looking so good there.
And now the real question is, how does SMU bounce back? That was a really long, tiring. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever had to run into a tough point 2 defense. It's really tiring. They've got to somehow avoid that tilt, avoid that negative mentality, turn it around here, try and get a good defense, and try and keep ACU from pushing onto them.
So what we saw earlier was the teams blocking down at the gate we've seen a variety of defenses maybe being up on near the main point, kind of on that, what would you say, kind of like that small shelter.
Playing around Mega more than playing around Shelter, I would say.
Yeah, and so some teams even play up on the back archway as well to try and set up with maybe like an Orisa or a Reinhardt, just so that you can scout out where the team's going to go. And then you have the versatility to be able to jump down onto the point, or of course if the attackers jump up to you, you can also jump down, because of course you can jump down rather than trying to jump up on people that don't have the mobility like a Reinhardt, maybe like a Reaper, who of course takes time to be able to get back up and all of that. So we'll see where they end up defending as we get into the side swap here, as we'll see ACU take their crack at the offense and see what they're able to do. Of course, SMU putting up such a quick time for the first point. Of course, it's not always how you start off, it's how you finish. So SMU getting up to that 80.3%. So we'll see if they're going to be able to crack that. Of course, they only have to beat that percentage, so 80.4 will win them the game. But of course, they have to get past this first point in order to do that, as they're pushing up through the choke.
Looking for their engagement here. They're playing with more close-range DPS once again. SMU recognizing it is going to back up towards that mega point that, like I was talking about, Mr. Bob Sparks reflecting that Ryan Fire Strike, killing AEI. No more Ana healing for this defense. Lendis is going to get D-Max and taken out, but there goes Hammer Doom on that Reinhardt. And I don't think there's much staying power here for this SMU defense.
Yeah, definitely not. Looks like first point is going to go a similar way over for ACU. So solid job from them to be able to solidify this. Of course, getting good kills on their DPS will charge a good bit of ultimate, so we'll see what they're going to be having up going into the second point. Bob Sparks, as mentioned, he was going to be a person that we needed to keep an eye out for, and it looks like that he is showing up big here for that ACU.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing them coming in here. We do see a few swaps for the SMU defense. They have a Brig, they have a Soldier. Will that be enough for them? And Smag's already starting off with a kill, but Bob Sparks with that Dragon Blade finds 2, looking for more, but Cryptism says, I don't think so. 3 kills on the Junkrat from Cryptism, make it 4. He is just landing pipe after pipe onto this ACU offense, and Lendis,
oh no,
the baby diva.
The poor Stagger here. Ooh. She's going to have such limited options. There's a possibility that she can get back in the mech, but solid job from Grip to be able to just destroy the Genji after he took out a few of his teammates. Good positioning from them to be able to split up around the openings onto the point so that everybody didn't get totally just annihilated by the Genji blade. So we'll see a Mei on defense as well.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing Cryptism switching to the Mei. Apparently they really liked the way ACU played that Mei. They're going to try and play him back into him. And let's see, ACU trying to push in here. There comes a sound barrier for this offense, keeping everybody nice and healthy. Primal Rage comes through. The Death Blossom from Zathras finds AEI. Reinhardt so low. Can he take down Hammer Doom? Both supports down for this defense already, and it's looking like doom for SMU right now. So many people are dying. Paco to Taco on this Winston, finishing off so many kills.
Yeah, late grab came out right here. They're trying to get back to the point. Smats ended up popping that rally. Doesn't get there in time. Looks like ACU will take game 1.
And look at that. ACU taking Volskaya almost in dominating fashion. I mean, after that .2 defense, I would definitely say dominating fashion. But here's that play of the game from Cryptism on Junkrat.
Yeah, solid job for them. It feels like they just needed just a moment to try and figure it out from how SMU was actually coordinating their attack. And I got to give big props to the Reaper, even though, of course, Junkrat on the screen there with the play of the game. But look at that, 34 eliminations on the point. I wonder what the percentage of that is going to be overall. It's got to be really high. But the Reaper putting up so much work, they got to be feeling good about this going into the second map.
Yeah, actually, we actually aren't going to be going into a second map. These matches are best of 1, as far as I understand it. So I think ACU going to be moving on. SMU is, are they dropped? Is there somewhere else?
So since there were a few games played beforehand, so Arlington in this Group B would be advancing that I'm aware of, and that would mean that ACU would also be advancing, but they will be advancing with a loss. So they will actually be the second seed which will, once we go back into more of the quarterfinals and everything else, then they will actually be playing the winners from one of the other groups. So, of course, we have 4 groups here in terms of the structure. Have Group A, B, C, and D, 4 teams in each group. So double elimination for that. So you lose twice and you are out. The first seed will play the second seed from another group. And then, yeah, that's how it's going to go, at least for the quarterfinals and then onward. So good job if you're able to make it out, of course, in your first seed. Theoretically, you're going to play a worse team in another group.
Yeah, that's the idea.
That is the idea, but of course, depending on how the groups are actually set up, you very well could have a killer coming out of that other group.
We'll see how it works out. But again, ACU and, of course, already we knew this, Texas Arlington coming out of Group B and advancing to the next round. So good for them. SMU, unfortunately, eliminated, but they did put up a good fight.
Yeah, no, still very solid job from them, giving us a long first round there. But I believe we are going to be taking it over pretty soon to Tyler, somebody that you and I are both very familiar with, who's associated with Electronic Gaming Federation.
Yeah, I am very familiar with him. He's going to be doing our first Power Talk here at OP Live, and this is something unique to our events. They are the Powered Talks, not Power Talks. Basically, instead of having these incredible individuals, often, some conference room somewhere locked away from everybody, where you can never even seem to find them, we wanted to bring them on stage, give them a little bit of time, and really give high-level and impactful talks about the gaming industry and how anyone can truly be a part of it.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing. At a lot of events and things you'll go to, they always have the panels, but they're always off in some random room, and then you can't find them, but then it's always limited to a certain amount of people. So being able to actually have them talk to the people that are actually here and everything else.
You got to buy the season pass to get into
Yeah.
the conference.
But no, I think that's a wonderful thing. It's not something that most events actually set up, and so being able to have these people for everybody to be able to see and then have them reach a larger audience, I feel is just a wonderful thing that's being brought to you here. So we will be getting over to him in just a second. But so we're going to take it to break right now. We will be back with Tyler, the CEO of Electronic Gaming Federation, here in just a second after we get back from this break. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to OP Live here in Dallas, Texas. We are going to be bringing you our very first Power Talk, which will be featuring Tyler Schroet, who is the CEO of Electronic Gaming Federation. He is associated with working with some of the biggest colleges in the United States, as well as with high schools. And then we'll go to him in just a second so that he can talk about how you can also bring esports to your campus.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for giving me some of your time this morning. My name is Tyler Strout. I'm the CEO and founder of the Electronic Gaming Federation. And as Demas and Sam said, my job is basically running college and high school esports across the United States. So today we're going to talk a little bit about esports, specifically in the college space, some of the cool things that we can do to get things started off. If you have any more questions about this after the fact, because we have short time, feel free to come find me at any point during the event. I'll be here for the next couple of days. So just to give you a little bit of background on me, which means I need to stand back here and back. So I started off at the Rochester Institute of Technology, where I graduated with a degree in finance. And my background in esports started when I was 10 years old. So I used to be a Counter-Strike player before I moved into managing teams and organizations. And then when I was in college, I ended up working as a defense contractor and a bunch of other things so I could continue to fuel my esports habit. So I had a lot of fun, and it allowed me to start Electronic Gaming Federation in 2013. And as was mentioned before, now we work with some of the biggest colleges in the United States and state associations across the country to develop high school esports. So to give you a little bit of background as to what EGF does, our basic job is to create and maintain the infrastructure for interscholastic esports. So we spend a lot of time working with administrators specifically to help them understand what esports are, why they're important on campus, and then ultimately work with students to kind of help these programs get up and running in a meaningful way. So as I mentioned, we work both across high school and college, with the idea being that eventually you get to a point where if you're a high school student, you can go get a scholarship in college, go pro, and kind of enjoy the same type of benefits that you'd see from traditional sports. So we do that in three primary ways. The first is that we run leagues, so kind of like bringing in an NCAA analogy. We run leagues, again, for varsity programs across the country. We primarily work with Power 5 schools. We handle a lot of development, so we spend a lot of time working with administrators, looking at what competitive teams are, what educational programs look like, and even like designing facilities around the country. So. And the last thing we do is just broadcast and event production to make sure that when these teams actually get up and running, they have a really great forward step and that people get to recognize them. So the reason that we get to exist is because there are so many colleges now that offer some level of esports scholarship. There are more than 85 across the country, which is kind of like this awesome trend that we've seen, and it makes me wish that I had graduated like 5 years later, so I could have been a part of that. So to talk a little bit more about esports on your campus, there's a lot of things that we can go into, but just to keep it very light, the focus today is going to be how do you get things started and kind of where do you go from there. So the first thing that you have to do is obviously figure out what you want to do. So we talk about what's your purpose. Once you figure out whether you're starting a club for the first time, whether you're looking at how to start something new on campus or get more support for your club, all the way up to getting a varsity program, you can't ask for help if you don't know what you actually want. So once you've kind of figured that out, you start to look at, okay, how do I start to implement this program? And the first thing that you have to do is make a plan, as with anything. And the key components of that, after you've figured out what you're going for, is to figure out why this is specifically valuable to your campus, and what does your esports community look like, and what's your plan for getting there. So the biggest things that we find when we work with administrators is they want to know what's already happening on campus. So if you're an existing club, they want to know how many members you have, what kind of events you're participating in, all the different things that really show them that this is important for students, because you're going to find that a lot of them maybe didn't grow up in a generation playing video games, and so you're going to have to help them understand why that's important and why it's adding a lot of value to what you're doing. And then the other key component of this is figuring out who you need to bring this plan to. The biggest thing for this is usually go as high as you can. When I was doing this on my campus, the first person that we went to was the university president, and he didn't take our meeting at the time, but we kept at it, and eventually we started to find that there was interest kind of across administration. So once you've kind of figured out what your plan looks like, the next thing is to actually make this get in and do a meeting, which I will talk about on this next slide. So once you've had an opportunity to figure out who you want to go to talk to, you have to get a meeting with them. And depending on who they are, that can be super complicated, because depending on the size of your university, administrators are super busy and not as accessible as they should be. So the easiest ways to look at this are, one, use your advisor, use administrators on campus that you're friendly with, and get an introduction from them directly, because that will give them more credibility if you're a student. Or if you're an administrator going forward with this, it makes it a little bit easier. If you don't have any of that, sometimes it's as simple as an email. In the email, you have to focus on why they should be talking to you, because again, if they have limited amount of time, you have to show why you're valuable to show up on their campus. And if the email doesn't work, the easiest thing is literally just show up at their office and schedule a meeting with their secretary. So all those things are super important. And then once you actually get into the meeting is sort of like the most important first impression you will have when it comes to making an esports program on campus. So while you're going through this meeting, again, you have to go through this education process of why are you here, why are you talking about esports, and what do you want to accomplish? And so if you're looking at getting more resources for your club, it should be what do you want to do, what does the budget look like, how many students are involved, and ultimately where do these resources need to come from in order to continue to make that successful on campus. So as you go through those meetings, the biggest thing by the end of it is you need to leave with really hard facts and next steps. So for that means it could be the next meeting, it should be after you presented your plan, how are you getting to whatever the next step might be, whether it's recognition for your club, whether it's getting a bigger budget, whether it's starting to have a conversation about a varsity program. And in these cases, we always say phone a friend for us specifically because we do this all the time. It can make your life a lot easier because our biggest thing is working with these administrators to help them understand not just why, but how. So for us, that means laying out these plans as to how it's going to be staffed, how it's going to be budgeted for, and ultimately what system are you going to be a part of. And once you've kind of gone through this step, this is going to be a repetition. You're going to have many, many meetings across campus for anything that you want to ask. So we're always there as a resource to help. So after the meeting, things that are also super, super important to do is to actually make sure you follow up. So if you've had a great meeting or even a bad meeting, the most key thing to the success of this continuing to happen is to make sure that you're sending emails, that you're talking to people, and that you're having a conversation that's ongoing. And then depending on what they said during that meeting, you want to reiterate that and you want to continue to work towards those next steps. So the example we use is if you're working towards a varsity program as a student that's trying to figure out, how do I go from what's, a pretty successful club into these administratively backed programs, you're going to have these introductory meetings, and then you're going to continue to have meetings with a lot of people, and you're going to have to continue to repeat this process with as many administrators in the highest levels that you possibly can to make sure that your campus eventually buys into that. And as you're working through these follow-up processes and working with people outside campus, you'll start to see people slowly change their mind. Sometimes it's something that administrators are really excited about. It happens immediately. Sometimes it takes 4 years. When I was at RIT trying to get this to happen, it literally took us until this last year to actually get things to where we wanted to go. And again, I graduated in 2013. So it can be a little bit slow, but you'll get there eventually. So the last thing that I want to leave you with so we can get back to matches, and I'm no longer standing in the way of the tournament progressing, are some of the challenges that you're going to run into. So as we're working on campuses, we see challenges across the board all the time. The biggest one is a lack of education. So again, if you're working with administrators who may be in, a little outside of the range of, again, where they might have grown up with video games, they may not understand why these are important to you as a person, but they may not also, follow what the professional scene looks like. They may not understand the amount of money that's involved, that other campuses are doing it, or that you're starting to see this trend and mitigating the risk that they might see as they're talking about esports. So in any conversation that you're having, always focus on what you're doing to educate those people, anybody that's in the room, and always assume they don't know anything because that will help to continue building your case. And then as you continue on down, you'll find that some people just really don't like esports. We've been told that video games are the devil more than once in a very, very serious way. So you have to expect that sometimes you're just not talking to the right person. And that's why you just keep having those meetings, keep having those conversations, and build out from there. Another thing you run into a lot is campus politics. So if you're dealing with athletics versus student affairs versus any number of other groups on campus, there's always going to be these kind of competing interests. And so your goal as the person sort of driving all this is to bring those folks together in a way that continues to move the initiative forward. And the last element of it is sometimes it's just not the right time. So like I mentioned, it took a while for us to get things going at RIT. Sometimes the budget's not right. Sometimes campus is going through a lot of different changes. And there can be a lot of issues with that. So the last element that I want to leave you with is just keep going, keep trying. And if you need help, ask. There's plenty of organizations, whether you're talking about TESPA, or League of Legends, or Collegiate League of Legends, or us, or anybody else, we're designed to make sure that you can kind of help make these successful on campus. So with that, good luck to everybody that wants to do this. If you need help, we say phone a friend, but obviously this is in 2008, so we go with email instead, or hit us up in Discord or on Twitter. And we'll kind of work through what this whole process on campus looks like to make sure that you can go from wherever you are right now to where you want to be in the future. So thank you all so much for your time, and I'm really excited to see more Overwatch today, so let's have an awesome day. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back here to OP Live in Dallas, Texas. We will be getting into one of our next games, which is going to be NMSU versus Baylor. This will also be an elimination round, so whoever ends up winning this will advance to the quarterfinals to actually face ACU, who we saw in the first game.
No, actually, they're going to be playing against Texas Arlington. That's okay.
Arlington.
But we are going to be seeing that match coming up right after this one. But we're going to be going on to Volskaya again, as this is the last group stage map. That's where map pools work for the group stages. Baylor and New Mexico State, both teams that we expected to move out of the group stage. So this should be a tough matchup.
Yeah, the teams in terms of their rankings are going to be very close to one another, both being respectively 3K to 3.5K teams, so we should be able to see them display a good bit in terms of their mechanics, and we'll see how their rotations and everything are. We saw in the first game that we had on stream, of course, everybody defending on the low ground, getting fairly blown out, at least for the first point, but then putting up a strong defense for the first half, but then of course, ACU being able to run that down on the second point. So we'll see how team comps kind of transition. Reaper has been somebody that we've actually seen a lot more of going against the more dive-oriented comps, as well as more May, actually. How do you think that she's kind of coming about, especially after her changes?
Well, I think May especially is really strong after her changes. I think that the change was kind of underrated. So for those of you who don't know, she no longer has damage fall off on her icicles, which means that you can now do 150 damage headshot icicles from across the map with May. That's pretty insane. So I'm really surprised that May hasn't seen more of an uptick, but I'm even more surprised that we didn't really see any goats coming out in that first map. I mean, granted, Volskaya isn't the best goats map, especially since there's so much high ground, but I still thought we might see it come out, so we'll see if it maybe makes a showing here.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, GOATS, which is typically going to be known as the 3-3 comp, having 3 tanks and 3 supports on each side. Typically, you're going to run that with something like a Brigida, maybe a Moira, and definitely a Lucio for that speed boost and the AoE that he has to go in with his team. So we'll be getting into that in just a second. We're taking it once more over to Volskaya Industries.
Yeah, we're going to see this intro once again. There in the distance, you might see robots we were talking about earlier.
Do you think they have betting on robot fights or anything like that? It looks like that they kind of just walk around and
No, they
build.
dance. The robots dance.
Well, did they have break dance competitions then? I'd put money on that.
I would definitely bet on a robot breakdance competition. But I'm also wondering, you know, maybe one of these teams can pull a Torb out of their back pocket, you know?
Ooh, that would be very interesting. Bastion, the fun things that I always see is on the little moving platforms that kind of go around the stage is that you set up a Bastion with maybe like an Orisa or a Reinhardt and kind of just swing around for sort of like a drive-by on the team as you're just going around the back of the stage. But we'll see what the team comps develop into. We saw a little bit of Junkrat on the defense side earlier. Of course, with him being able to have certain areas that are cut off or a little bit more stronger chokes that you can just launch those projectiles through, it's going to be very hard hitting for the team. But we'll see in just a moment. We saw a little bit of Hanzo, but Hanzo felt a little underwhelming from what we saw earlier.
Yeah, of course, earlier on, we also saw a lot of really good Ana play, which, you know, I mean, especially after a change with the Nano Boost providing that healing now.
Oh, yeah.
I really think that Ana is a much stronger support choice because that ult is now defensive as well as offensive. But here we go, New Mexico State coming out on this offense, and we are going to see a 3-tank, 3-support comp coming out from them. It is a form of Goats. Usually it's played with D.Va instead of Roadhog, but there's a big charge. Roadhog fighting the first kill, Brink coming in with 2 more, and New Mexico State showing the power of Goats right there.
Spirit Wizard, I don't think that he was swinging a wand there, but he was swinging that hammer, getting a good bit of kills. So solid job for them to be able, and once more, to be able to break down the defense of the team to start off the round. Seems that there is a contest on the point, though. Oh, no. It looks like
no, I think it was just a weird sound effect.
Oh, okay.
Hanzo, Shadow Doggo on that Hanzo got off so much damage during that first fight, but gonna switch right off to this Pharah, and this is what I was talking about earlier, is that the projectile, Pharah, Junkrat, so strong on the second point, so strong against Goats, it can really disrupt a team. So we'll see how this works out for them as New Mexico State trying to push into Baylor right now. Baylor gave up that first point real fast, and there's a huge Earth Shatter from Spirit Wizard. The entire roster of Baylor is on the ground, and they're heading back to the spawn door, and I think that's gonna be it.
Wizard is definitely showing them some magic here on these pushes with that Shatter and with what he can do with the hammer. Nice, solid bash there in order to stop the Reinhardt.
That's got to be a record time there from New Mexico State. What an amazing cap.
That was definitely so solid from them. How much time do we even have? We have over 6.5 minutes. 2 points on the board. Such a good job from them to start off this round.
And of course, we saw Jack Commander playing on that Zarya. He was one of our players to watch out for in this match. We didn't really get to see a whole lot, unfortunately. He was able to build up a lot of energy, which was really important, especially very good shielding. And I thought it was interesting how they played it with the Roadhog. They made it work. You know, like I mentioned, usually they run Goats with a D.Va. So how did you analyze that?
No, that was really solid from them. Of course, the difference there with the Roadhog, you can pull people into the middle of your team to be able to just annihilate them, whether it's going to be a tank, a DPS, or anything like that. D.Va is going to have a little bit more of those defensive abilities that you can utilize, having the Matrix where you can block any of the projectiles or hit stand damage such as 76 rockets, anything like that. But of course, it's only for a brief period of time, but she does have the mobility on top or over Roadhog. So we'll see what ends up kind of developing. People have kind of been shying away a little bit more from Roadhog, it feels recently, especially after the most recent change where his primary fire and his secondary fire now have fall-off damage.
Yeah, and of course his hook is just as inconsistent as ever. I mean, it's really tough to land something consistently with that hook. And I think you mentioned it really well, though, the mobility, especially from D.Va, because when you don't have that D.Va in your lineup, the only thing you have to contest high ground is Lucio, and that's, you know, that's not really going to get the job done for you. But we are going to be seeing Baylor coming out on their attack run, their chance to answer to New Mexico State's blisteringly fast attack run.
Yeah, and we'll see what type of team comp they're coming out with. It seems that they're solidified with what they have pulling out here. They're going to be boosting to the point here, and we actually saw New Mexico State trying to go for a little cheeky
Yeah, New
play.
Mexico State playing from directly behind Choke. A good start, a charge kill onto that Brig. Spirit Wizard's going to be swinging that hammer, but Kento Bento fighting back. There goes Only, and this is just going to be a brawl on the point. Goats v Goats, and there's Super picking up a kill on that Diva, and look at this Roadhog. Unable to find the damage like he used to be able to. It's just so much more difficult now. A great right click on a Moira, but he's gonna get, was that a shatter from Kento Bento?
It looks like it
Yeah,
probably
Kento
was.
Bento dropping down a shatter in that fight. And it looks like New Mexico State might get pushed off here. Oh, Jack Commander with a grab. Can he find the damage he's looking for, though? Can't even D-Neck. A big sound barrier from Shadow Doggo. Gonna keep Baylor up and going. Super with a two-man Diva Bomb. And New Mexico State trying their hardest to stay alive here, but I think Baylor has this fight won.
Yeah, this is such a long fight. We see ultimates coming out time after time again just because the fight's gone on for so long, and we haven't even got up to 33%. Finally gonna get one tick on the board as Super pushes up to try and pick up the Moira. She looks like she will get away, so Ergo will find a little bit of spacing to be able to get back with his team as they're just retreating and trying to buy themselves a little bit of time so that they don't get annihilated on this next point.
And Jack Commander looking for some energy right now, trying to build up some ultimates as they push in here. Here comes a Coalescence from JD Buttertoast, unable to keep Diva's mech alive, but the Roadhog goes down for it. A big shatter there from Kento Bento, and here comes the follow-up. 3 kills, looking for a 4th. Kento Bento charging all the way through. Jack Commander, so much energy, but doesn't matter if you're not going to be able to stay alive.
Both teams are trying to put up blisteringly fast times on the point. We're a little bit past the 6-minute mark, but they're still looking so solid on the point. Baylor is doing their best to try and wrap this up as Super gets pulled in, and we have the rally coming in, but the Diva Bomb as well.
There goes the Diva Bomb. The Diva Bomb, into the Graviton. 3 kills, 4 kills. Looking for more. Baylor trying to clean up this point. Jack Commander with a grab of his own, but his teammates aren't there to help him clean it up. And the sound barrier as well from Shadow Doggo. Gonna keep everyone on Baylor nice and healthy here. But look at Zonely, the master of the stagger, just staying alive so long on that Lucio. And here comes the hamster ball.
Yeah, we definitely have Wrecking Ball coming in on shot to try and get on the point. He's already halfway up on that ultimate. We'll see what he's going to be able to do, trying to charge it around, knocking people away. They're still fighting so hard. They are past that second tick on the point, so regardless if they lose this, they will have that pushing into the next fight. These fights are just so long.
Yeah, finally the hamster ball goes down. Everybody just fighting on the point right now. And I think we're actually going to see, a huge boop. But New Mexico State, Spirit Wizards still fighting 2 down on that shatter. Just no follow-up damage yet again. Here comes the rally from Chuck on Baylor. So much armor. Look at Baylor's health bars and the sound barrier on top of it. And the shatter. Kento Bento with another one. Huge plays all around. The Coalescence keeping everybody healed up. Jack Commander on that Doofus trying to do so much damage. We know what that Doofus is capable of, but it goes down, and there's only one man left. It's Ergo on the Moira, and finally, Baylor gonna finish that attack. That was a long fight.
These are non-stop fights that we're witnessing on the points coming out from both teams. It's mind-blowing how much action that we actually have. Both teams not wanting to give anything to the other in terms of momentum, and things finally go the way of Baylor to be able to wrap that up as we're going to get into the second round here. So both teams going 2-2. So since we're past 1 minute, or rather, since both teams have more than 1 minute, they will be playing with the rest of the time that they have in their time bank for the points moving forward. And then that will slowly wear down, and then depending on where they're at, if they're able to capture both points again or whatnot for that, then we'll see how much of the opportunity they'll have to push.
Yeah, so in other words, for the rest of this matchup, we're going to be seeing Baylor playing with a 2-minute disadvantage. We'll see if they're able to turn it around. They are going to attack first and get a chance to turn it around here. On their last defensive run, we saw New Mexico State playing that sneaky spot behind choke. We saw them do that. It didn't really work out for them. Do you think they're going to try it again?
Possibly. Of course, playing in that area where they were at first, teams have started to avoid going to the left side out of the spawn, since you have the area where you can get booped by the Lucio and kind of get caught in an odd position with flying off of the map. But so here we go. Baylor University pushing up into the choke. They don't find anything right now. New Mexico strikes.
New Mexico coming out from behind them again. Here comes that charge from Spirit Wizard, but a big stun. Chuck in the perfect position, but not quite, because he's going to get caught out and go down. And that's exactly the advantage New Mexico State was looking for. They're looking to push the advantage. Jack Commander goes down. Zonly goes down. Shout goes down. New Mexico is getting destroyed by this Baylor offense. They were so ready for this flank. Here comes a shatter from Kento Bento early yet again. A shatter from Spirit Wizard. It is just monster ults all over the place. Two Coalescences battling it out. Spirit Wizard gonna go down. Ergo. Oh no. Is Ergo gonna get staggered here?
He's gonna get away with that fade, but how far can he actually get? Gets the shield from the Zarya. Looks like that they will capture the point. So Baylor University, even though they had a little bit less time, I believe even when you have extra time in the time mid, you still get 30 seconds to be able to move up to the second point. So they're moving here with a little bit less than 4 minutes.
And there's a big stun again from Chuck onto that Spirit Wizard Reinhardt. A Diva Bomb from Super coming out, takes down Jack Commander. That means that that means that the grab not going to be coming anytime soon. Ray, though, the grab of his own for Baylor. The follow-up isn't there. And another shatter from Kento Bento. So much damage coming out from this Reinhardt position. Another Coalescence as well. They're really playing this Goats comp to perfection, maximizing everything they need to. Jack Commander going down again, unable to do anything on this second point. Instant killed by that Diva Bomb and then taken down by the Coalescence.
And in overtime there, they will end up taking the second point. So Baylor University, solid job. We've seen that Moira has been such a huge pick for both of these sides, being able to throw out the orb and the coalescence since it charges so fast with the AoE healing. Of course, with her primary heal as well, just being able to spray that all over her team so that they can all be healed up. With the Goats comp, you've seen the 3-3, the extra taints, you just have so much healing opportunity to be able to build up that ult charge. And it's just enabling these long fights for a prolonged period of time, as well as the Lucio with the AoE. So I'd be interested to see if anybody's going to swap into something different to try and counter that. I think teams have been struggling a little bit to try and find any sort of counter to Goats, though, at least right now.
Yeah, in my experience, double projectile or like projectile Reaper, like Pharah Reaper, Pharah Junk Reaper are really like the best thing you can do against Goats besides playing Goats better.
Sure.
But I really like that. That was a mark. I mean, Baylor, after going down 2 minutes after that first round, to come out and have such a strong attack, make such good adjustments.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't change their comp at all, but you could tell they were playing it differently. And I think it was really strong of them, and we'll see if they can continue making adjustments and maybe turn the tides on New Mexico State here.
Yeah, going into the second round, as New Mexico is going to attack, you got to think that there's a lot of pressure on them. Baylor University on their second round, it's always really hard to think that you're going to capture 2 points, but now everything's just in their favor. Even if they were to lose these next 2 points, they still can go for an entire another round, so they got to be feeling good about themselves.
And here comes New Mexico State onto the point, but Kento Bento starting off on that run, making 3 kills, Super with a 4th, and that fight's going to be over just as quickly as it began. Moira finishing off the last 2. A fast team kill from Baylor University. Kento Bento with a little bit of bad manners right there, but man, what a play on that Reinhardt.
Yeah, the Reinhardts have been swinging away so much here. You would think that we were casting an MLB game on the screen with the way that they're swinging, but they've been doing such a good job for building up their ultimates, and I question a little bit their charges since it seems that they're leaving the team, but they're getting right back into it already, swinging away.
Oh my goodness, Kento Bento knocking down 2 with that shatter, finishing off 1 before the fight even started. They have the Pharah in the sky now, but can't get anything done when all of your teammates are dead.
Yeah, running away there. Moira Orb's actually doing a good bit of damage with that chase on the Mercy and Pharah. It'll be interesting to see where they reposition. Wow.
But Buttertoast getting booped off by Spirit Wizard, going a bit too aggro there. And that could be the opening New Mexico State is looking for. It's a long walk back from spawn. Shadow Doggo going to look to speed him back, but that means it's now a 6v4 for this New Mexico State offense. They've got to push this advantage.
We'll see what they end up coming up with. Spirit Wizard's looking to try and get as much damage up so he can find that rocket barrage, but I don't know if they're going to need it. Chuck going to pop the rally as Super is trying to find somebody in the back. Seems that they haven't found anybody just yet, but the Diva Bomb comes out, finds 2.
Super with a 2-man Diva Bomb may be able to turn that fight, but the advantage here for New Mexico State coming in. You saw so much damage pumping down from that Pharah. They're able to get through and put in damage without when that Moira isn't there because there's no healing. There's nothing to pick up those tanks. The Rhine goes down so early, and that's really all they needed. New Mexico State going to clean everything else up and going to be able to win this fight.
Ooh, we saw Kento Bento try to charge in there as Jack Commander will have shielded himself, and it looked like that he actually met Shulk on the opposite end there with a charge to be able to put him down, but we have the people with Caffeine in the bat to be able to try to find a little bit of space on the point, maybe get a little bit of full charge. So ultimates are going to be big as we start off with the grab surge.
Yeah, here comes a grab. Spirit Wizard just pumping rockets into it, but it's not enough. No other damage coming through, and Ray on that Zarya coming in with a first kill to Ryan. Ergo with the res though. Jack Commander finds Chuck, but Zonely goes down. No more Lucio. No potential sound barrier for this New Mexico State offense. The barrage comes down, but it only finds the Diva mech, and it's a really scattered fight. I think New Mexico State's gonna have to disengage.
Yeah, as we're seeing there, Ray trying to hunt down Spirit Wizard on that Pharah, not going to be able to find it since he will lap that range on the primary fire, and of course alternate fire is insane to try and hit that with, but solid job on them to be able to hold him off. The times are getting close to even, so even though Baylor University went into the second round with a lot less time, we are getting close to evening things up, and we'll see if they're going to be able to send this over to a third round.
Yeah, here comes New Mexico State pushing aggressively. They have another Graviton built up already, but they used the barrage in last fight. Again, they have nothing to follow up on that Graviton. Shulk on point. There goes the Shatter. He finds 3. He gets the brick down, but Ray catches the whole team with a grab right there. And that's going to be it. Baylor again cleaning up house.
Ray was definitely looking very solid there for that grab, just waiting until the moment was right for everything to be able to put that onto the team and solidify the...
Oh no.
This is going to be interesting.
Super
moving
with
forward.
With that tactical play there to intimidate the foe.
The big brain plays definitely going to be a form of intimidation.
That is unfortunate, but Baylor should still have enough resources to be able to hold here. New Mexico State trying to push in now. What will they be able to do here? Diva trying to contest Spirit Wizard in the sky. Pharah at the ready. Here comes the barrage. He finds 2. He's looking for a third. There goes Chuck. They're looking for more. Coalescence trying to keep everybody up for this Baylor defense, but it's looking more and more unlikely. There goes the Diva mech. There goes Diva. Lucio on this point just trying to pump out damage. Shadow Doggo, no more staggering for you. It's just Moira. Butter Toast goes down. There goes the big stun and the grab and the anti. What a play. Jack Commander finishing him off. And that should be the cap here from New Mexico State.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time now. Diva's not going to be able to do it all by herself. You thought that the Lucio would have made it, but he does not. So now the interesting thing, and if you didn't know, whenever that you have the lesser amount of time and you actually capture the point, then you will actually attack first. So we'll actually see a swap for this in comparison to what we saw in the second and third round. So on the first set, it was actually Baylor that had the faster time, and then
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
New Mexico
has
State
the
started with a faster time.
Yes.
So Baylor attacked first to get a chance to try and flip that.
Yep.
And they did flip it. And now we're going to, what is this, round 5? We're going to rounds 5 and 6 so that we can see New Mexico State try and flip that advantage back.
Yeah, so we'll see how that momentum carries over if you're starting off on attack, or swapping over might throw some people off. So the fact that you're going from attack and then going right back into attack, maybe that'll work out for them. We'll see if they're going to come up with anything a little bit different. Seems that both teams were feeling pretty solid with their comps. Of course, having the Pharah come out, I did appreciate seeing that. That was something that we hadn't been shown yet, at least for having the further distance from the characters, so that you more or less neutralize the Zarya if somebody has a Reaper. Moira, of course, is very difficult to be able to get damage onto Pharah, since she, of course, has a limited range as well on her damage. But we're getting into this 5th round here, 4-4. as we'll see what they're going to be able to do on the side of New Mexico State.
Yeah, and they're coming in again, and they...
Different route.
Am I seeing this right? They're coming around to the high ground. They're trying to set up this bastion on the high ground. They're looking for all the damage. They have the shielding, they have the healing, but Baylor University not giving them any sightlines. There's no targets for this bastion to shoot at, but oh, I thought Super got caught off. I thought he fell off the map there, but he is able to stay alive. Bastion still looking for targets, unable to find anything. Kento Bento gonna go down, but other than that, uneventful so far. Chuck gonna take down Semporium on the mirror there. And Mirror's going down again. Finally, the Bastion goes down, and Baylor gonna be able to stabilize. Shalk shatters, but his team's dead. Can he clean this up by himself? He's already found 2. He's looking for a 3rd. There it is, and Shalk cleans it up all by himself. No DPS needed.
So solid. He's taking that hammer into his hands, charging in like Reinhardt in the cinematic, saying, I am the DPS. I will carry you all to victory. So sticking with the Bastion, that was very interesting, moving up onto the high ground. I actually really like that creativity, and then even jumping down onto the point and trying to cover him with the Reinhardt shield, as well as with the Zarya bubble to try and be able to set him up in a solid position in the middle of the team. But we'll see what the ultimates are going to play out like as they get into the second point.
And here comes Jack Commander, so high energy. The rally going to come out from this Baylor defense, trying to keep everybody up. The Coalescence as well, Buttertoast finding a kill. There's 2, and I think New Mexico State is going to back out here, but I think that was a smart play by New Mexico State. It looks like they went for a dry push to try and bait out some ults from Baylor.
Yeah, very good job for them on the defense. We're getting down into the final minute of this round, so we'll see what New Mexico State is going to do. Ooh, had a pin there on the outside. Looks like that they will pop the rally as they're pushing in the next point.
Unfortunately, Baylor getting caught out of position there. 2 going down. Kento Bento trying to turn around. Here comes the Diva Bomb. Not able to find anything. Kento Bento and Chuck both go down. There goes Shadow Doggo. And of course, that fight started off. Baylor was trying to clean up the Spirit Wizard with the tank ult, but Baylor pushed past Choke. They were trying to clean up New Mexico State, and instead they get caught out. They get staggered. New Mexico State pushes in with 2 man up.
Wow.
And look at that.
Sits on the board for New Mexico. I can't believe it. This is an interesting part that you have about the 2 CPs, is that things can go to a crazy high number of games in terms of putting points on the board. So most of the time, it's either going to be something like a shutout. You'll have maybe a team go maybe even full hold on the first point and then just put up a single one within the first minute or 2. Sometimes you'll put up the first point but then struggle on the second point, so then it goes 1-2 or to a certain percentage. But to be able to put up 6 points on the board, that's such a good job to be able to just fight back with less and less time as it's progressed through the game here. So we're having so much action in all these fights. Hope everybody's enjoying themselves.
Yeah, these 2 teams are so closely matched. We're going to have to see how Baylor responds. There's even still time in the bank for New Mexico State. So Baylor needs to cap 2 points, and ideally with some time left off on the clock, or else they're just playing for a draw.
Yeah, so since they do have those 15 seconds, what I believe is that if Baylor were to capture both of these points, then you would have a minute on top of the remaining time, since it's under a minute that you have in your bank.
I think it would like boost it up to a minute.
To a minute.
New Mexico State would get an extra 45 seconds, but Baylor would also get an extra 45 seconds. Just got to keep everything fair. Baylor University pushing in here. New Mexico State, are they going to come up from behind again?
Ooh, we didn't see this. We actually have Spirit Wizard going to be on the Bastion. This will be wonderful for breaking down the Reinhardt, but they're not moving to... Oh my god!
Shadow Doggo getting caught out on that Lucio, and now this team, Baylor University, everybody is stuck in this mega health pack room. They can't retreat, but Chuck gonna find an early kill, but there goes New Mexico State pushing this advantage, creating a big crossfire. Spirit Wizard dropping down onto the point there to spray into Mega Room while his team pushed down the hallway. That was really well set up by New Mexico State.
This is what I was hoping to see eventually from some of the teams, is setting up in the back to be able to have a lot of spacing so that you can kind of scout out what the offense is going to do when they push up towards you. They have to be a little bit mindful since it looks like that was a fire rocket that came through, trying not to get booped off of the map since it is a dead zone, considering that you fall into the freezing waters there. So we'll see what they're going to be able to do as Baylor is going to be pushing up, and they go on the opposite side here.
Yeah, they're pushing up onto the point, trying to take a very long sight line from that Bastion because his spread is so wide. It's really hard to get consistent damage, but you can get consistent damage from the tank. Here it comes, flying down. Diva Mech goes down, a big nade from Ergo, and I think that's going to be another stabilization here from New Mexico State.
Yeah, at this point, just picking the rest of Baylor off. Oh, actually, Diva getting her mech back there, but you would think that she's probably going to have to run away. We'll see how far she can actually get. Might have to actually jump off the map in order to not give any more ultimate charge, but it seems that she'll get away just fine.
Yeah, going to fly around the corner there to get away, but New Mexico State, so strong on this defense, this Bastion strat. Baylor's just reeling. They don't know what to do against it.
Yeah, it can be so difficult considering that you have to travel so far and there's just a wide open area. You have to use all of your corridors and the coverage that you have to be able to get around. It seems like they finally got creative with this and they're going around the bat side, so this is a perfect opportunity for them to strike.
The boop comes down, but unable to knock anybody off. Spirit Wizard out of position. A big charge. Spirit Wizard going to go down. Shout going to go down too. Off the map. Gento Bento. What a charge. And that could be it. That could be exactly the adjustment Baylor was looking for. They come around the back. Shadow Doggo with the barrage, ending Sepioramon's chances to turn this fight back. Lucio gonna stall it out just to try and take some extra time off the clock, but what a charge from Gento Bento.
That was so good of him.
Dropping Shulk right off the map.
That was almost like a masterpiece. If he was painting with his charge along the way, he would have been Picasso right there to be able to do something for that. Just his ability to analyze and say, how far do I have to go for my charge here? And
all right, you hear that, Blizzard? We need a Reinhardt skin where his hammer is a paintbrush. All right, well, we're getting into the second point fight here. New Mexico State still on that Bastion, but they have a soldier now, too, instead of the Brig. A Sleep Dart comes through. They're looking for a shatter, and there it goes. Grab from Ray, but everybody's shattered. They can't clean it up. Super has the Diva Bomb at the ready. Gonna toss it out there. Can she find the kill she's looking for? Nothing goes down. Meanwhile, Moira with a 3K Butter Toast looking for blood on this support roll. Looking for more, and there's a fourth. And Baylor, are they actually going to get it? Are they going to get it in time?
Ooh, so close. Last second here, we're in overtime.
No, they are going to go into overtime, but are they going to get extra time for that?
The percentage is so low.
Okay, so now the question is, does Baylor go up to a minute?
Since both teams are there, they should both go up to a minute because they're both under a minute.
I guess we'll see it right now.
It should be a minute 15.
Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so 6-6. Three great rounds of Overwatch right here between Baylor and New Mexico State. And it all comes down to this. Each team just 1 minute.
Yeah, coming into this, you thought that both teams would have been so evenly matched, and we're definitely seeing this. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw both of the scores, or one of the scores, go up to 8. Of course, considering that you can capture the first point, even if you're in overtime, you will have 30 seconds added to your time to be able to at least run to the second point and try and make something happen. But we'll see how long these teams can fight on the point, since overtime is going to be ticking down so quickly. They're going to have 1 to 2 fights, you would think, unless everybody's going to kind of stagger in and they're going to be able to regroup. But the interesting part will be ultimates. How are teams going to be able to build up ultimates quickly? Are ultimate team going to be a factor moving into this? That's going to be, I think, the key thing.
Yeah, I think ultimates are going to be very important here. And as we've seen, like, over these last few sections, both teams just kind of use them as soon as they get them. I mean, there is a little bit of I guess discrepancy there, but we'll see. Maybe I think you're right. The team with a smarter ult usage is going to come out with the win here, probably. And we're seeing Baylor pushing up now into New Mexico State. Both teams brawling it out just by that tractor there. Baylor trying to bring it outside, and there's a short charge onto Sepuremon. No more Brigitte for this New Mexico State defense. That's a great start. They're coming through. Kento Vento, though, going to go down. But there goes Spirit Wizard, and the advantage still in favor of Baylor. The kill feed starting to fill up with blue. Can they keep it going? Shulk on that Roadhog staying alive. A big hook onto Super. is that going to be enough for them to turn it around?
We'll find out. They're getting into under 20 seconds. We have the grab surge out. Only hits one, though. That still might be big for them. We'll see what they're able to do.
Yeah, it is able to confirm a kill onto Shadow Doggo. Lucio, very slippery target, but Kento Bento, his shatter basically nullified, and Spirit Wizard going to come out with one of his own. Chuck ended up wasting that rally ultimate for Brigitte, and they're going to keep contesting this, but I think New Mexico State is going to pull him out.
Yeah, looks like it. Not even a tick on the board, so even though you show it up, well, a little bit of stagger.
Shadow Doggo making it onto the point, extending that overtime, but not going to be enough.
Takes a nice trip back to the point, just saying, sorry, we completed the round still. So even though we saw a little bit of percentage go up, you have to hit that 33.3% in order to actually have any progress count whatsoever. So even though we saw a little bit of percentage tick up, that will not matter. We're going to need to get up to 1/3 in order to be able to close this out. Otherwise, this will be a tie.
Yeah, so right now we're going to be seeing Baylor doing whatever they can to play for that tie. Meanwhile, New Mexico State, minute 15 seconds to get 1/3 of the point. The way they've been pushing this game, it's hard to believe they wouldn't be able to get it, but it was hard for me to believe Baylor wouldn't be able to get that first point.
Yeah, both teams, it might be wearing on them just a nonstop action, just that momentum that they had. It is sort of seeming to die off as we kind of transition through the rounds. Teams have been able to hold off a bit longer rather than having those non-stop fights. So we'll see what they end up setting up with on the side of the defense. It'll be so interesting if they end up actually holding this and then we do end up with a tie. But of course, that's just more games of Overwatch. Of course, I'm sure everybody would enjoy that very much. But we will see if there's anything cheeky that comes out as well. We had mentioned the Sombra earlier, but we haven't seen Sombra this round.
Yeah, we saw Sombra a lot, actually, in the first map on Volskaya, but this time around, no Sombra. So maybe we'll see something come out. New Mexico State coming out with that offense, time ticking off the clock now as they're going to be coming through. They're going to try and push into this, and it looks like Shadow Doggo. Looks like Baylor's running this Bastion strat. They're trying to do it better than New Mexico State. They're taking this positioning on the opposite side of the high ground. And there comes a big charge from Spirit Wizard all the way around, but he loses his team. He goes too deep. Shadow Doggo now has this crossfire, but he's going to get hooked. He's going to get taken down. His hitbox is massive. Kento Bento trying to get any kind of damage he can to turn this fight around. Shadow Doggo getting res that could be huge, but no! Roadhog takes him down again. Kento Bento goes down to Ergo on that Ana, and it's looking so close to ending. But New Mexico State, with that rally, so many kills. Ergo taking down Chuck, the kill feed filling up with red. And there it is. New Mexico State going to take this map and the match.
This was such a bloody game on both sides there, but solid job from New Mexico to be able to finally clutch it out. We had to go 6 entire rounds, and oh man, it was so crazy, but we're gonna have Buttered Toast. Shout out to everybody from the 90s and early 2000s. Eddie, everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna see that play the game from the Moira. It's just feeding damage into that Graviton, getting so much damage, so much healing. Well played there. And
oh my god, 82 limbs and had 60 for them on the objective. That is an absurd number, especially for the Moira, but having those orbs just flying around and hitting everybody so consistently is going to be such a big thing on both sides there. And I believe that's a big thing, her mobility and the ability for her to just heal up so fast, all of the taints.
And another thing, how well New Mexico State played around the Roadhog and how well they were able to counter the Bastion strat. I mean, you could tell they'd really practiced that Bastion strat because they knew exactly how to counter it. They came in, they pushed, they saw the positioning, they pushed right through that hallway. And Spirit Wizard got a bit carried away with the charge, but they were able to turn it back. They were ready, they were able to turn it around.
Yeah, no, I was very impressed by everybody on both sides for there. The Reinhardts were crazy aggressive, but it's always fun to see when you can enable your Reinhardt to be able to get out that damage from the swings, of course, hitting anybody that's within his range. It's going to be just putting up so much consistent damage if you're able to keep him alive and keep him healthy throughout the entire fights, which they were doing on both sides, so that was always fun to see.
I'm really loving the Ana play we're seeing too today. So many good nades, so many good sleep darts, especially. I mean, I think we saw one on second point there. The Reinhardt got slept to start the fight.
Yep.
The shatter came out. Very well executed.
The Ana changes, which have happened fairly recently, for being able to shoot through the targets, to be able to basically miss fully heal targets. I think that that's actually a huge part. You used to not see a lot of Ana. Of course, her biotic grenade's a big thing. But I think having targets staggered, since you, of course, have the Reinhardt push further up and then have a Zarya, maybe the D.Va, you're going to be able to keep those taints healed up through all of the crowded fights that we're having, which is, I think, a huge thing and a reason why we're probably seeing the Ana played a lot more now.
And they also increased her overall healing potential. She has more ammo now. And, of course, ammo, shooting people is how she heals her teammates. She, pew pew. But, so going down there with the extra ammo, and that is really making a difference. We are going to be getting our next match ready. What is that? New Mexico State versus Texas Arlington.
Yep, and so Group A here is what was wrapped up there. Of course, we saw New Mexico advancing, so they are going to be advancing as the losers out of Group A versus UT Arlington, which are the winners of Group B. So it's going to be winners versus losers from Group A and B when we come back right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OP Live here in Dallas, Texas. We, of course, have a few games coming up here. We're going to be getting into the quarterfinals, but before we get into that, quick shout out to our sponsors while the teams are getting ready on stage. Thank you to Reaction AV for their amazing work on the stage, as well as providing additional equipment technology.
Of course, they did a fantastic job. We also want to mention Playful Core, a developer here out of Frisco who helped OP Live get off the ground. Now, we're going to be going in. We just saw New Mexico State with that fantastic win over Baylor on stage. They're going to be staying on stage. They're going to take on University of Texas at Arlington, and we do know the map pool this time. This one's going to be a best of 3. Let's run down the maps, huh?
Yep, so we're going to start it off with Nepal, get into Junkertown after that, and considering that no team, or that the team doesn't get 2-0'd, whoever that would be, then we will get into Hanamura after that to round out the tiebreaker.
So going to be ending on Assault once again. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, the map pools, I enjoy how different they're all going to be. Of course, Junkertown going to have those wide open areas that sometimes you see a lot of Widowmakers, Hanzos out on there. You also see people jump on the pirate ship. We have our own iteration of that, calling the Black Pearl, throwing a Torbjorn on there as well, trying to take it back to the old times. But we'll get into the teams right now as we see them on stage. Of course, big shout out to the Dallas Fuel, as well as Team Envy, and even GameStop as well. For those of you that don't know, GameStop is actually out of here in Dallas, so big shout out to them. Make sure that you actually visit them on Facebook as well to get more information about how you can get involved with the Fortnite event, which will be coming up tomorrow as well.
Yeah, we should be getting ready to go into our first map on Nepal here soon. So while we wait for that to get started, who do you think is going to take it out in this this match?
So both teams being from here, I can appreciate that. Baylor and Arlington. I'm going to say Baylor, honestly. I think that them coming right off of, or I'm sorry, not Baylor, New Mexico. I do apologize, Baylor, forgive me for that one. But New Mexico, I think them coming straight off of the previous game, they're going to have a lot of momentum and feel so good about themselves moving into the next round. Now, since this is going to be a quarterfinals, as we mentioned, this is going to be a best of 3, and all the rest of the quarterfinals and the semifinals will also be best of 3 until we get to the final round, which will be a best of 5. So we're going to start popping out some good games for you guys, just back-to-back action as we proceed onward.
Yeah, so it should be a fun one coming out here. I'm going to say that my pick is going to be Texas Arlington, just because, I mean, New Mexico State put up such a good fight against Baylor, but didn't Texas Arlington also beat Baylor?
Texas Arlington was in.
No. They beat Arkansas. Texas.
Yeah.
But I really think Texas Arlington is going to put up a strong showing here. They were able to be the first ones out of their group, out of Group B. They won both of their matches in the group stage, so they're definitely going to be a tough opponent here, regardless.
Yeah, since the teams, at least for the quarterfinals, are going to be playing against the second seed out of the similar pool. They should theoretically be the favorites, but of course that doesn't always tell the full story. Sometimes you might have some 4K, high 3K teams in there. Maybe having a 4K and a high 3K team in there, so then the high 3K team makes it out as the second seed, but they're actually going to be like the main killers that are going to be somebody to look out for to make it to the semifinals and then possibly the finals.
But we are ready here. We are surrounded by picturesque mountains and some pretty terrifying cliffs up here in Nepal. This is Sanctum, as you see the meditating
experience
Zenyatas.
Tranquility, my friend.
Yes,
Experience
tranquility indeed. Both teams will be coming out here on Sanctum. Sanctum, of course, the one with the giant hole in the middle. So both teams going to be looking for some big boops, big hooks, big Orisa plays. You know, depends on what they decide to come out with. So we're going to see New Mexico State pushing up now. Ultra Poyuto, he's our man to watch from Texas Arlington. He catches them out, and a huge Orisa pull. Tomato Lord able to pull down 2. That's both healers from New Mexico State. All they have is a brig to help them stay alive on this point, and they're all just going to reset right there. Spirit Wizard able to take Moon Cryptid with him, but a very quick fight from Texas Arlington.
Yeah, this will be very interesting to see how momentum is going to favor the team that has the point in control. Of course, once you build up ultimates and once you get higher percentage, being able to save those and maybe go for a drive push so that other teams can use all their ultimates just to capture the point back and you come back about 99%. It'll be really interesting to see, but they're going in here. Yeah,
they're coming in from inside this room here. They have lots of boot potential. Poyuto has some damage at the ready coming down. Cryptid able to take down Spirit Wizard. Ergo finds a kill, and Poyuto with a 2-in, make it 3 on that barrage. Ooh, and he's going to finish off Commander as well for good measure. There goes the res onto Tomato Lord. Ergo taking the lemming leap into the hole there.
That's good to be able to not stagger yourself too much. Of course, being able to get back with your team as quickly as possible. Considering the ultimates that, of course, were burned, we did see the Rocket Barrage end up coming out there. We haven't seen too many other ultimates, so both teams have to be very mindful of what the other team has in their arsenal as they're pushing back around the backside to try and find out. And we have Dez coming out, but gets booped.
Dez getting caught out. Fantastic play by the Brig and Lucio there to take advantage of that positioning. Dez gonna go down. Oh, but a big boop on the Spirit Wizard ruins his shatter. But it doesn't matter. Coalescence and Whole Hog coming out. Ergo and Shaq finding kills as well. Cryptid able to take down Shaq with a Diva Bomb, but he's suddenly finding himself all alone on the point. 81% built up by Texas Arlington, but New Mexico State gonna start building up on their own.
Dez went in at the very beginning and got killed. Wasn't able to get off that Reaper ultimate, so unfortunately Death Blossom found nothing. And then went in at the very end and get staggered. So the percentage is...
And got stunned as well. Didn't even get damage with it.
Yeah, that was a really solid reaction from them to be able to just nullify him. And they're kind of looking here, finding out where UT Arlington's going to push around. They're on the back end.
Arlington coming from this outside position. This is very dangerous. If the Lucio tries to come in and get a boop here, he could get 2, 3, maybe even 4. A big hook. The Diva Bomb. Pojito goes down to that Diva Bomb. A big play there. Well done by New Mexico State. And look at that armor as well. The Brig helping top all of them off.
Diva Bomb actually ended up hitting Moon off of the stage as he got demet, so he didn't die to the self-destruct, but ended up dying to the environment there. Unfortunately, taking a trip down those cliffs, needs to get a wingsuit to be able to make that trip successfully. Gets pulled in right here. We'll see how the Rocket Barrage maybe comes out, but not going to find anything just yet. They're looking for a little bit of space. Anti-heal.
A huge anti-nade. They're trying to push through the Splendor here, but it's not going to work. Ergo with the Coalescence. They do find 2 kills, but New Mexico State filling the kill feed with red once again. Jack Commander going in deep for that Mercy, able to take him out, and isn't even going to get punished by this Reaper. Oh boy, Dez able to save himself with Wraith form right there, but that one could have been bad.
Yeah, that was looking a little bit sketchy for them, but they are going to find themselves in a bit of a pickle coming up on the final 15%. They're going to have to touch the point. We got to touch it right around 99, 98%, but we end up getting pulled in. Tomato ends up being squished there before he can get onto the point. Looks like that it is going to be going the way of New Mexico, as Mercy's ultimate is going to be popped. The Valkyrie is going to be on the point. We'll see if they can close this out.
Yeah, Arlington on the point now. They have the Valk, they have the Diva Bomb. Here comes her Diva Bomb, but an opposing Diva Bomb from Jack Commander. A bit of bad manners as well. And New Mexico State with a nice turnaround. It looked like Texas Arlington was going to run away with Sanctum.
Yeah, it was looking really interesting to start off and then being able to flip the point and then just run with it after that. As I mentioned, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So being able to bounce back and pull out that win on the very first point of Nepal, solid job from them.
And also running that triple tank, triple tank, triple support, running goats, knowing that they can do it, trusting that they can do it, running it into that Farah Reaper, and just playing around it, avoiding it. You know, we talked about how Farah Reaper can be a counter to goats, but it's not always a counter to goats. You can play around it, and I think they did a great job of that. New Mexico State coming in here, this is going to be Shrine. And this is actually my favorite point of Nepal, just because of the way it's set up with the high ground around the point and the way the steps are set up. Looks like New Mexico State is getting ready to set up on the left side of this point, and here comes this first fight around the poster in the middle, and already lots of damage coming out on both sides.
Not really picking off a single target just yet. This is a bit of a messy fight. First person to fall will likely be able to find the momentum that they need to finally capture the point. Everybody just swinging away. Brigida versus Ryan. 2 fall on the side of UT Arlington, though.
Yeah, and this is, Dez, unfortunately, they're using that rally, but getting taken out immediately. Unable to have any of the advantage of the rally and losing all of that ultimate charge. Texas Arlington going to get pushed off, and New Mexico State going to win that first point. But, I mean, really got to mention the target calling, the focus fire from these teams is really lacking on both sides. I mean, that's why these fights are staggering on so long, but look at this. Was that a grab?
That is a grab towards the spawn.
New Mexico State spawn camping Texas Arlington right now, looking like they might get ready to win another fight, taking so much time off the clock. Look at this. They're already at 25%, and Texas Arlington still isn't ready to retake.
that grab might have been a bit too optimistic, trying to put it so close to their spawn, being able to have the healers stay safely back, and of course you can retreat into your spawn where you don't take damage, but they are leading off with a grab.
Yeah, here comes a grab from Texas Arlington.
Oh.
And the shatter. Is it going to be enough? Where's the follow-up damage? There's nothing in the kill feed. The Diva Bomb comes down, but it doesn't find a single kill. Spirit Wizard gets booped by the Diva remeching. Unable to find anything with his shatter, and there's all kinds of kills coming out from Texas Arlington. Tez on this Brig and Ultra Poyito switching onto that Zarya. Texas Arlington playing goats of their own and showing New Mexico State how it's done, but 52%.
Yeah, it seems that the curse of Nepal is you capture the point first and then you get it swapped a certain percentage through. So we'll see if Texas is going to be able to keep it in their favor through the rest of this and send this over to that third round. We lead off with the rally for the push onto the point, though. Jack Commander trying to find what he can and ends up getting a kill.
Spirit Wizard getting taken down. There goes the Brig as well, and Texas Arlington, I mean, New Mexico State tried to take that odd positioning there, coming in from the left side, and Texas Arlington was having none of it.
Yeah, that was a really solid job for them there. We did see the swap from Ergo onto the Ana, so of course not going to have too much percentage moving forward. That will take just a little bit for them to build, unless he's able to find some sort of kills, maybe a big anti-heal onto the team of UT Arlington. But they're pushing up. We'll see.
But
what
obviously they decided there, they felt that the Nano was more important than the Coalescence.
Yeah.
And they're going to push in. Here comes the grab. And
Oh.
big nades from both sides. Finally, kills coming down from New Mexico State, but a huge shatter. All of New Mexico State is on the ground. Where's the follow-up? Only one person goes down after that 6-man shatter from Texas Arlington. The Coalescence from Itakiri just trying to keep everybody alive desperately, and they're finally starting to turn it around. Tomato Lord and Itakiri with that combo, and Dez going to use that rally to keep everybody topped up. Texas Arlington, man, it looked like it was going to get flipped back there.
Yeah, it definitely did. As you mentioned, the rally being used, so they will be topped up with that armor. This is going to be an uphill battle for New Mexico State to be able to lead off. They end up popping the sound barrier.
Initiating with the sound barrier, as you mentioned, but look at Poyito. Full energy on the Zarya, just pumping damage in, but it's not enough. The Nano comes out. New Mexico State doing so much damage. They're finding kills one after another, filling up the kill feed with red, and 99% built up for Texas Arlington, but they're going to get pushed off.
Yeah, that was a really good job for them. So they did not fall into the Nepal curse, thankfully. So we will be going up and swapping or flipping the point. So we'll be in their favor. They're pushing up aggressively. We keep seeing this from them, but they seem to not find too much, especially with the percentage left. They have to be very careful.
Yeah, they really like doing this, but Poyito playing very aggressively. Ooh. There goes the grab, but no nade comes in. 2 kills, 3 kills. Can they make it 4? Shout. Fighting back, Jack Commander with a grab of his own. Is it going to be enough? That Roadhog going down so low, they got to get on the point.
Is anybody going to be able to make it back here? Jack Commander is going to be heavily staggered, and he definitely wouldn't have had the mobility to make it back. Is anybody rolling out from spawn, though? Can anybody even make it here? It looks like that Lucio will touch the point, but how long will he last?
Yeah, Lucio going down very quickly, but he staggered just enough. Shulk on this hamster ball. He's going to be spinning around, creating craziness on this point. Tomato Lord just narrowly missing the charge kill onto him, but this hamster ball suddenly finding himself all alone, the only one on the point. He's going to go down. There's a monkey, but he's not going to last very long. Tomato Lord doesn't even need that shatter. Diva Bomb not necessary either. Texas Arlington turning back 1-1. We're going to go to the third section of Nepal, which is, of course, Village, and I think that was well done by Texas Arlington to turn that around.
Yeah, that was a very solid display from them to be able to get back in there, and it seemed that they were struggling a little bit to handle the Wrecking Ball. I keep wanting to call him Hammond, because Diva, you don't call her Mecha, you call her Diva, but Hammond, I always want to call him.
I call him Hamster Ball.
Hamster Ball. I can appreciate that. But
I really want to point out, though, the Diva play, Moon Cryptid on this Diva for Texas Arlington, doing such a good job, and I think it was such a big factor against especially because New Mexico State runs the Hog instead. So to be able to kind of nullify the damage from that hook and the damage from the Hog in general, and also like prevent Schalke from getting so much ult charge. They're going to be pushing in here now on the high ground of Village. And both teams, we see the Bastion strat coming out from New Mexico State. It's working so far. They're taking map advantage. Poyito goes down. They're going to push into this room. This is so close range. Texas Arlington is stuck. Moon Cryptic gets demec'd. He's going to go down a big fire strike. Schalke has that shatter at the ready. And this Bastion strat coming out again, but look at this. It took them so long to cap the point. They won the fight so long ago, and they still haven't capped.
Yeah, of course, that's going to cost them a little bit of percentage, meaning that Arlington was going to be able to get all of those spawns back up and not waste too much time. But breaking the Reinhardt shield, you got to be very careful. You're going to poke out around the corner and lose all of that health. So they're going to have to push very quickly onto the point without trying to lose too much time. Of course, it will be all about efficiency as we see the Pharah in the air.
Yeah, but you mentioned the Reinhardt shield losing health, but Spirit Wizard has to play a delicate balancing act. He can't focus. Oh, a cap from Texas Arlington while New Mexico State wasn't paying attention. We did see a big shatter come down from New Mexico State, but even Bastion damage wasn't enough to get any kills out of it. Ultra Poyito takes down Spirit Wizard just as he uses that tank ult, and Jack Commander coming out with the grab should be able to turn this fight around for New Mexico State, and hopefully they can stay on this point. But Poyito with 2 kills with a barrage, he's looking for more, but his team is falling like flies.
They are getting swatted here on the point. They're still swinging away. With that bat cap not having the reaction from New Mexico State, they were able to flip it over, and it looks like that it still hasn't flipped back. So solid job from them. They're just fighting on the point. Arlington will pop that sound barrier to be able to heal up some of the teams as it's a Reinhardt versus Reinhardt, but they're also going for the Bastion. Charge comes in, finds nothing though. Spirit Wizard will take out Tomato.
Yeah, I think Schalke was just trying to keep himself alive, but Dez on that Reaper finds that pretty funny. He's just going to take him out anyway. And Texas Arlington, what a fantastic play from them. Just turning New Mexico State around, realizing that they were going to be stuck on that high ground trying to protect the Bastion. They wouldn't rotate quickly enough because they would be worried about the Pharah. And this is what I was trying to talk about, is Spirit Wizard can't afford to just focus on that shield because he has a Pharah to worry about. But then if he's focusing only on the Pharah, he's not doing the damage that he needs to be doing to the rest of the team. And so it's so tough to play Bastion into this comp. We do see the switch coming out. They're on the Mei now. Mei very strong on this section because she can block off the point, but oh no! Ruins her teammate's ult. Tomato Lord with a shatter of his own. His whiffs as well. Jack Commander finding Itakiri. Tomato Lord going down as well. And New Mexico State starting to find the kills. Can Poyito turn it around again on this Pharah? No, he can't. Ergo killing him with the Coalescence. And New Mexico State going to get the flip there.
So they do finally stabilize on the point, able to flip it back over after getting it stolen from them. Now, keep in mind the percentage here. We need to see what UT Arlington is going to end up putting up, depending on what ultimates they might have coming up very shortly, or if they're going to do any swaps or whatever that might entail moving forward. Are they going to push onto the point right now? Are they going to do a dry push? They have a couple of options since New Mexico State is not too high on percentage just yet. That gives them a little bit of room to work with, but they're going in. Yeah,
they're coming out. Poyito taking this crossfire positioning, but look at that Mei wall. Oh, look at the play. 2 kills. Looking for more. Moira fades to so low. A shatter comes out, but another great boop to ruin it. Schalke unable to find much of anything. Cryptid gonna get knocked out of that mech, and how did they turn this back around again? Poyito still trying to keep things going for his team, but I don't know if he can do enough.
Yeah, they're fighting so hard on the point. You would have thought that with that rocket barrage coming out from Ultra that it would have been all over. But we are getting up into 80%. This is likely going to be the last fight unless they stagger onto the point and are able to regroup. But they're just waiting for the right time. Oh, there's a pit!
Oh, no! Poyito getting caught out, taken down by the Coalescence.
Oh!
Dez going in with the Death Blossom. So much damage coming out, but unable to find any kills. The sound barrier, though, almost completely nullified. Here comes the Diva Bomb. Brian getting booped all over the place. Spirit Wizard goes down, and this fight is total chaos. Poyito on the Pharah. He is back. He had time to get respawned. He's looking for more damage. There goes the Moira getting revenge for that pick. And in overtime, Texas Arlington gonna flip it back. They're so close to finishing this out.
This little bit of percentage that they were off, though, it's not going to go into immediate overtime, but there is a pick in the
Jack
back.
Commander pushing in. Here comes a grab. So many people get caught in that, but no follow-up. And Texas Arlington going to take Nepal.
Wow, that was such an interesting end to the fight to be able to push it. Of course, we had to go to the third map and had to go up to that 99% in order to be able to end it. And here we're going to just see how Poito playing out on the points, of course, coming up big with those rocket barrages consistently, and then eventually will finish off that Diva, got the DMAC, and will not be denied his kill on the baby version of that. So solid job from him.
So much damage. Look at that, 77% from Poito, playing so well on that far. He really was a player to watch there. Wow. I think he was a key reason why Texas Arlington was able to win that map.
And that Brigida, 82% kill participation, just from being in the middle of the chaos that was going on, swinging away, being able to give heals, of course, the stuns, the knockbacks on everybody. Brigida's really come into being a top-tier pick, especially with the team comps that we're seeing from everybody. It was a character that kind of had a little bit of controversy around her. Of course, switching up the style of how the team is played. Of course, we are used to having a dive for a good while, and before that, of course, we had the Beyblade comps with the Ana and the Reaper and whatnot. But I do appreciate that you can run such a variety of comps with Brigida being introduced, and it's just fun. You can see so much different things.
Yeah, I really do like the variety of comps that are coming out in the current meta. I think that it's very fun, but I will say I feel like there are a few comps that are a bit too strong. And I think it was kind of on display there as both teams really being forced to run Goats because they couldn't really counter each other. Now we're coming on to Junkertown, and Goats isn't very good here because it's so wide open, and Goats really prefers to play in close range spaces. So the question is, what are these teams going to be coming out with here, since we've seen how comfortable they both are playing Goats?
So as we had mentioned a little bit before the game started, snipers thrive on these type of maps, more specifically on point A, since you have such wide open spaces. And then once you get into point B, trying to go around the corner, the sight lines get a little bit interesting for how you would play around with snipers. Hanzo typically tends to be the preferred pit since he has a little bit more mobility with that dash. Of course, you do have the grapple from the Widowmaker, but you're not finding too much for that, at least on point A. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a solo sniper and then you ended up swapping midway through the match and then maybe swapping back, something along those lines. But Junkertown, Bastion as well tends to pop up very often. As mentioned, going with a pirate ship, I doubt that anybody's going to go and run the infamous Black Pearl that I have mentioned, throwing a Torbjorn on there as well. But that'll be interesting to see depending on what they're wanting to run exactly.
Yeah, we're going to see both teams getting ready. We're going to see Texas Arlington on the defense first here. So we're going to see New Mexico State. They're going to be hoping to get a very good time again on this attack run. And I mean, I'm really not sure what to expect here. This is the first time we've been able to see, you know, any kind of payload map on live for us anyway. So we'll see how this goes. Texas Arlington hoping to get a good stop here.
Yeah, Arlington taking that first game will be on defense to start off. And we have New Mexico State in the red. Looks like that they will not be running a Bastion. I can appreciate that. And on the side of UT Arlington, they do have a Hanzo as well as the Junkrat. Going to be breaking the shield so quickly, considering that they're going to be using the Storm Arrow and, of course, all of the bombs as they have the Tomato Land going in.
Yeah, Tomato Land missing that charge a little bit. Both teams brawling on the point right now. But this is what I was talking about before. The focus fire needs to be better. Everybody just kind of off doing their own little thing. Cryptid getting caught out in the back line, and that could be big. Poito is able to find a pick onto Ergo, so that means no main heals for this New Mexico State offense, but they do have the payload, they do have the Lucio, they do have the Brig. I think they're going to be able to stick it out here and keep pushing forward.
Yeah, being able to provide a little bit of space for them. The payload is still moving forward. Nobody has burned any ultimates just yet that we can see. And I'm sure that getting towards the end of this point, once things get even, we're going to have something pop
Tomato
here.
Lord nanoed, has so many targets, but misses the shatter again. The tire comes out from Dez, able to take down the Brig. There goes Jack Commander. There goes the sound barrier for this offense, but just too late. Poito finding kills all over the place. Oh, Spirit Wizard's shatter gets canceled, and this defense being able to retake there, so difficult, but they did it so well executed, and Spirit Wizard losing that shatter is going to be very painful.
So the really interesting thing about where the payload is now is that it's so even for both teams' spawns. So considering that UT is going to stagger somebody, but if they're able to stabilize and just kind of hold out, then whoever gets picked off first should be able to make it back to them. But we'll see how that ends up coming into play as we move forward. But as you mentioned, they're going to be down ultimates, though.
Here comes the grab from New Mexico State. Sound barrier for the Texas Arlington defense, keeping everybody up, but not for long. Tomato Lord and Itakiri the first to fall. Can Poyuto turn this back this time? No, he can't. The Moira Orb finishes him off. Dez goes down as well. And there we go. New Mexico State going to clean everybody up. A good combo there, using that grab with the Coalescence to get maximum damage onto this Texas Arlington defense and cap that first point.
Yeah, first point being taken, so very solid job from them. A fairly respectable time, just over 4 minutes on that, and they're moving forward. Oh my God.
Poyito jumping right back into that Moira Orb, staggering himself, and this is going to be very tough now for Arlington. New Mexico State taking such aggro positioning, but Schalk getting knocked onto the ground, and now the tables have turned. Arlington pushing back into New Mexico State. They're going to slow them down. They might even be able to push them back to spawn here.
Yeah, the gates close after a certain point, but we have the Dragons coming out, and the self-destruct finds nothing, though.
But so much energy up for Jack Commander on this Zarya now. Spirit Wizard pushing back. He has that Storm Arrow at the ready, finds Tomato Lord. There's the DMAC on Encrypted. There goes Dez. There goes Cryptid. There goes the Lucio. And what just happened? The tables turned again.
Possibly overconfidence, not thinking that you were going to lose the fight, and then you put yourself in overly risky positions, trying players on your team get picked off at terrible moments. And looking at what we have on the board, I believe we saw the Dragon Strike for sure come out from Poyito. That was likely from spawn. He had died early on in that.
But yeah, look at this from New Mexico State. They, in the last 2 fights, they used all of their ults, and they have a chance to push this back. But I think that was actually a really smart play from Texas Arlington. They knew New Mexico State was pushed so far back. They tried to force ults out, and that's what they did. And they were able to re-stabilize there. They're going to be able to set up their defense and try and take this ult advantage.
Definitely. We saw a few ultimates burn there. Tommy on that Ana ended up using the Nano Boost as well as the Earth Shatter from Tomato also coming out, trying to put a stop to the oppression that New Mexico has been putting on them on the payload. We'll see if the Junkrat's going to come up big here. Anybody get pit?
Itakiri did go down earlier to a Hanzo arrow, but Poyito and Tommy both go down. Kills on both sides. Poyito unable to be not up. He's not going to be able to pull this back. So much energy from Jack Commander, and of course that Coalescence as well. They're going to be able to push through the second point.
Point moving, and we have a little bit, it looked like that Schalk might have pushed up there, but just trying to scout out a little bit, see who might be up on the spawn, see if there was any sort of last-second swaps from the positioning that he was in. Throughout the Fire Strike, just trying to find any little bit. Oh my God, there's a pick in the back on Dez.
Yeah, that Moira Orb. Ergo finding so many picks. Somehow, just Texas Arlington getting caught out. They need to be more disciplined. And of course, New Mexico State going to push this advantage. They've been playing aggressive all game, but Poyito trying to punish them, splitting the team up with that Dragon Strike. Unable to find the damage he's looking for, though. And Schalk and Jack Commander played that perfectly. They went right down into the pit as soon as they saw that Dragon Strike. Not going to let themselves get cut off.
There was actually no kills there with the exception of the one at the very start to initiate the fight, but no ultimates really being burned. We'll find out who. Oh, there we go. Rally's going to lead it off, and a Sound Barrier,
Tomato
and a
Lord
Shatter.
nanoed, shattered, but the Grav Dragon comes out. Spirit Wizard finding 2 with that combo. Schalk going to come back and get taken down by Tomato Lord. The Diva Bomb from Moon Cryptid unable to find anything, but the advantage heavily in favor of New Mexico State right now. They need to get this Diva off the point.
It seems that Moon was trying to throw the mech, I believe, into the middle of New Mexico. I could be wrong on that, but it looked like he was expecting that momentum and for it to fly forward. So a little bit questionable for that, but the Shatter comes in to open up.
Tomato Lord, a huge Shatter, and this time there is follow-up. 2 kills coming down already. A Maywall for the defense as well, gonna split off this Rhine. That poor man gonna go down to that Fire Strike. Zonely gonna get caught out as well for trying to help his teammate, and that was a great turnaround once again from Arlington. They keep finding these at the 11th hour, just managing to turn it back.
They do, but it's so late that they finally find a little bit of footing, and then once New Mexico has a chance to reset, they always find a way to finish it out. So we'll see if that's going to be the case here. They do have a couple of ways that they can kind of move around the map. They can go around the main mid pillar. They could, of course, have gone through the middle section. They can go in back and take their time going around the high ground, but they're going right in.
Dez looking for damage on the side here, looking for an opening to come in. He gets spotted out. He's going to have to use that Wraith form. Maywall goes up, and this is just a brawl on the point here. Dez goes down, so very little damage for this defense. There comes a grab from Jack Commander. There comes the Dragons. So much damage from Spirit Wizard, finding 2 kills. Tomato Lord gonna shatter. He's able to find 1 on his own, but Spirit Wizard having none of it. Storm Arrow comes out. Here comes Dez to the point on that Reaper, but he's gonna get stunned, and he ends the round with the Death Blossom. Dez.
Yeah, it is really unfortunate there. We saw him have the Death Blossom the entire fight, but never found an opportunity to actually pop it, getting booped back away and away from the middle of the team. So probably not thinking that it would be as efficient. It's really unfortunate that you have such a big ultimate that can put out so much DPS in the middle of the team and not be able to utilize that.
You gotta love that awareness from New Mexico State. They knew that Dez had that Death Blossom. They saw him playing aggressively, and they game planned around it. They knew they couldn't let him get off a big ult, and they denied it. They didn't let it happen, and look at that, they pushed. But 38 seconds is not a lot of time, especially on Junkertown. So we'll have to see how Texas Arlington's push goes down.
I'm sort of not expecting this to go too long in terms of having like 5 to 6 points be put up on the board. I'm thinking that if UT does take this, it's going to end pretty quickly into the middle of the 3rd round, where of course teams get a chance to attack once more, and that will be down to, of course, the distance that you push the payload. This is impossible to tie on since it's going to be by that distance, so one team will 100% win or lose depending on what they're able to put up. But I do appreciate the May. How are you feeling about that on that last point?
Pulling out that May pick on the last point was such a smart play by Texas Arlington. I'm only disappointed that they couldn't take more advantage of it. They were able to split up the team, and I think especially with a Reaper, it's such a good combo, but I think the problem was their comms they must have been cluttered, because it seemed like the May would wall at a weird time, or maybe he just missed the wall, but I think the Reaper and the May should be working together more, especially in that type of comp. We're going to see Texas Arlington coming out here on this offense, but New Mexico State taking very aggressive positioning, not having any of it. Texas Arlington, they're going to get the nade. Shot goes down, but they're going to take down the Bastion. So New Mexico State got exactly what they were looking for. Can they push this advantage? Can they keep finding kills?
They led off there with the Maywall, splitting up the team, but didn't find much on the side of the defense. In fact, things are turning around for UT Arlington to try and start getting a push. It's just a matter of time now. Spawns are right there. They can heal up all of their health. They just have to peek in the spawn room, and we see the kill feed filling up with blue as UT Arlington finally gets his payload moving.
And again, this is exactly what I was talking about. Spirit Wizard on that May for the New Mexico State defense. He got the freezes, but there was nobody there to follow up on it. There's nobody with the May. You have to play around it.
I really appreciated the creativity that they had for that play. It's just a matter of execution, of course. So you got to give big props to Arlington to react to that. It's just great play for them to be able to back up, buy their spacing, and then strike back.
And here comes New Mexico State looking to get a retake Texas Arlington style. A shatter comes down from Tomato Lord, finds a few, gets a brig kill there. Here comes a coalescence from Itakiri trying to keep his team up. The Maywall though, denying those heals. Nano Boost comes out to keep Tomato Lord alive, but Dez goes down. A huge grab from Jack Commander, finding so much damage, but Jack Commander going so low he doesn't have any shields left. Moon Cryptid has so much damage at the ready. Can she turn this around? The sound barrier coming out. Oh, a Widow switch from New Mexico State. Sept finding a kill onto Itakiri already. No healing left for this Texas Arlington defense, but a huge Diva Bomb. Moon Cryptid finding 3, and that should be all for this first point. Texas Arlington should be able to comfortably push it to the end.
The moon is shining bright tonight, finding 3 with that self-destruct. Great utilization of that ultimate to be able to turn that round in their favor. 4:20 on the time as they're going to get into the second point here. And we will find out what they're going to be using. They're actually pushing up, trying to pick off the Zarya. Nothing found, though.
Yeah, another weird wall coming out there. Maybe just kind of misplaced. A blizzard coming out on the cart, though. As we see, Tommy737 on this Ana getting taken down. But Dez coming right back. Spirit Wizard threw out that blizzard, but he gets taken out. Dez on this Reaper has 2. He's looking for 3. There's 3. The Widow was so low, got out with that grappling hook. But Dez on the Reaper. Sepuremon on the Widow, able to find a headshot, but Poyito sending him on a nice vacation back to the spawn room.
The swap to the Widowmaker is a little bit interesting, especially with the second point and how late it happened into point A. But Dez was looking so good in that last fight, getting double, it looked like maybe even triple headshots as we have them pushing up. They're getting close to the end of the point right here. Dez, oh my god.
Here it comes. Here it comes. Dez with the Death Blossom, but again, not able to find the damage he's looking for. And a shatter comes down from Shulk. Dez goes down. Tomato Lord finds a big shatter of his own. Here comes the Diva Bomb from Cryptid. Unable to find the combo they're looking for this time, but both teams fighting it out for supremacy. And I think it looks like Texas Arlington might get pushed off this time.
Oh no, Arlington throwing out the grab late in the fight. Of course, Dez led off with the Death Blossom, but it was actually going to be Arlington that got that got the grab thrown on them and wasn't able to find much, and this fight still dragging on. Not going to find too much more spacing, though. UT Arlington has to retreat.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Poyito throwing out that grab very late in the fight after many team members were already dead. And look at this, Tommy and Dez getting staggered. Cryptid and Tomato are caught out. They're going to get staggered as well. A fantastic aggressive play from New Mexico State on this defense. Jack Commander getting so much damage on that Zarya.
That was such a good job for them to be able to chase down, realize that they had the advantage, and then just run down UT Arlington to stagger them even further. We're coming up on 2 minutes left on the clock. They will have 2 to 3 pushes left, depending on how efficient they can actually be. These fights have been dragged on for a good bit. Of course, the Moira enabling that with her orbs. Gotta wonder if the Diva is going to be able to turn the tide, so for that to be able to block a lot of healing. We'll see who pulls the trigger first for any ultimate. Coalescence comes out.
Texas Arlington coming through. Coalescence and rally for this New Mexico State defense. Here comes a Graviton from Jack Commander. So much damage into this Texas Arlington offense. How has nobody died yet? There goes Polito. There goes the shatter. Tomato Lord had the nano, but it might not be enough to keep him up this time. Cryptid gonna get knocked out of that mech, maybe? No, Cryptid actually gonna get away, but Tomato Lord and Tommy both gonna go down. Cryptid getting too greedy this time, and he's gonna get, they could have staggered him a bit longer there, but still a good play from the New Mexico State defense.
So in terms of ultimates, I don't believe we saw too much coming out from Arlington in that last fight. They might have planned that, but we did see them start off strong on the side of New Mexico, leading off with the rally and just popping everything that they could in order to win that fight. This is a good position. The payloads moved back a bit.
And yeah, we're going to see Texas Arlington pushing through. The payload has moved back quite a bit, as you can see. Arlington unable to keep it where it was. Tomato Lord tried to get a shatter, but again, knocked down Shulk. Amazing play on this Reinhardt. Dez only finds 1 with that Death Blossom. Meanwhile, Shulk on the Rein has just gotten his 4th kill of the fight. Here comes the tire from Sepuremon, and he doesn't even have targets because Rein is killing everything. The Diva mech going to get taken down, and there we go, another stabilization by this New Mexico State defense, and only 15 seconds left. That's 1 more fight for Arlington.
They need to avoid losing anybody on the side of UT Arlington, but they lead off with a grab. We'll see what they can do.
So little time left. New Mexico State just trying to keep them from even getting close to the payload. Tomato Lord has other ideas, though. Here comes the Nano. He's going to take down the Moira as well, but Sepuremon on that Junkrat. Close range fight as Arlington has to stay on this payload. Here comes the Diva Bomb, but a Reinhardt up to keep everyone alive. The Graviton coming out from Poyito. I mean, can they find what they're looking for? So many people caught in it, but not enough damage.
We keep seeing the grabs coming out from Poito so late in the fight. Not sure if that's a lack of communication or just not having it up and trying to just use what they have at the very end of the fight just because they're out of time at this point. It's in overtime. They're just fighting with whatever they have left, but there's only one person left. Overtime's finally taking down, trying to take out the Lucio.
And New Mexico State keeps Arlington off the point. They're going to win Junkertown, and of course, lucky for you, audience, that means we're going to a map 3.
We're going to be taking it over to Hanamura, so 2 CP. For that, we will be able to hopefully have a bit of rounds there. Of course,
let's take a look at this play of the game from Tomato Lord. Nanoed with the shatter, finds 1, finds 2, finding even more. Unfortunately, we couldn't get this point of view during the match. Luckily, at the play of the game, we give Tomato Lord the credit he deserves. A good play by him. Well coordinated as well to get that nano boost up.
Yeah, I think that especially on Junkertown, it seemed that the coordination for the ultimates from UT was lacking a bit, at least in regards to having the shatter come out, and then you would see the self-destruct from D.Va come out after the shatter already hit. So by the time that they're already recovering from that, you had the Reinhardt being able to put up the shield, you had the Brigitte able to put up the shield, so they weren't impacted by that too heavily. So if they can just sort out their comms a little bit on Hanamura, I think that they can find themselves in a bit better position moving forward. But we'll see. You can't discredit New Mexico whatsoever, at least for how their play has been. So good job from them to be able to bring it back.
And of course, we are going to be going into Hanamura for the 3rd map. And, you know, I mentioned that Goats isn't very good on Junkertown, and we still saw both teams running Goats as much as possible. So, I mean, is that what you're expecting to see coming out on Hanamura?
I would say teams might go for something like a Bastion, a Torb for point A. Things get really interesting on point B. You see Widowmakers come out, long sight lines on the point. It's a wide open area. You can get very high up on point B. Even point A is not too bad. Sometimes you lead off with that with an attack Hanzo so that you can break the shield, stay back towards the entrance to the point so that you can stay kind of around the archway and just rain down damage on the team, kind of split them up and force them to try to come to you. But of course, it really depends on what they're wanting to utilize moving forward.
Speaking of Torb, what are your thoughts on the new Torb changes that were announced yesterday?
It's going to be really interesting. I can appreciate not having to build up the turret for sure. I don't remember 100% if they said they were going to nerf the damage on the turret or if that was his primary fire. I think it possibly was
I think
both.
what they were doing was the turret is going to have less health but do the same damage.
During the build, it'll have less health, so you
No,
probably...
no, it'll like have less health in general. Like it has 250 now instead of 300.
Ah, gotcha.
And I think another thing was both his primary fire and secondary fire was changed. They were both like overall buffed.
Mm-hmm.
Like the primary fire, I think the projectile speed is faster, and I think it does a little bit more damage now.
I know they were trying, or at least from their notes, they said they were trying to have more consistency for the damage output and then for the rate of fire and all of that. But it looks like his ultimate's going to move to a main ability, kind of in the same way that Symmetra, she had the teleporter move to a regular ability now. So he's going to be able to get those buffs for the armor, for the rapid fire. But they are taking away the scraps and the armor that you give to people, and they're actually going to have his ult shoot out kind of like little blobs on the ground, which is going to be
I think it's going to be a
damage.
very interesting AoE, and I think Torb in this new state, I mean, we'll see how it goes when he gets pushed alive, but I think he could actually be a very interesting character going forwards. We're going to be seeing Texas Arlington on the defense first. New Mexico State coming out on this offense. They're going to be rolling up to choke very soon here, trying to contest and push onto this point.
Ooh.
And here comes the hamster ball, slamming down the Mei, trying to knock people off. Tomato Lord able to get a charge kill onto Zonely, who got staggered out by that Mei wall. And look at this, Texas Arlington taking notes perfectly, playing around this Mei, talking, communicating much better, it seems. A great charge onto Schalk there from Tomato Lord. And Spirit Wizard suddenly finding himself all alone. Wise man might say, all by myself.
I can appreciate... Oh, there was a sleep in the bat there, so somebody's definitely going to be falling, I believe. But solid job. I can greatly, greatly appreciate Ultra being on the Pharah. They're chasing down... Who is this, Ergo?
Yeah, Ergo on the Moira. got slept in the back
making
by,
it out?
by Tommy, and they're finally able to take him down. It took a while. One has to wonder, was that on purpose as a long stagger? Another great Maywall coming out. Shout now on the Roadhog instead of the Hamster Ball. Might be a good switch, but so far it's not working out. Jack Commander goes down. Tomato Lord. Lots of damage at the ready. Spirit Wizard with a charge kill onto Dez, but so many kills for the side of Arlington. And I think Spirit Wizard's gonna have to reset himself here.
Definitely ends up taking a trip off of the map. Gonna go into the garden there, but as mentioned, for Ultra Poito being on this Pharah, it is such a good pit since you do not have any sort of hit stand or any sort of counters to the Pharah being so high up in the air. The Zarya can't reach her. The Brigitte definitely can't swing far enough. Might be able to get a little bit of hit on the flail, but it's going to be just so hard for them to be able to counter this. And I can greatly appreciate the Mei also asking sort of as a chain.
Oh, and here comes a barrage with the Nano. Poito finds 2, finds 3, looking for a 4th. Can that Brigitte go down? Did Sepurmon use Rally? No. I'm sorry. I saw a weird visual view. But Poito with a 4K on that Pharah, with thanks to a little bit of help from Tommy's Nano Boost.
The Nano Boost, as you mentioned, being able to heal up and that change to it is so good for DPS like this, because if you get low, insta heal and damage boost for them. Typically when you focus them down, maybe you have a little bit of late healing coming in and try to shield or something like that. But it's going to be so good for keeping them alive for just a longer duration so they can get off all of that percentage. And Dez here has to go and heal himself, but the wall's being so impactful. Oh no!
He missed the wall. But as you mentioned with that Nano Boost, some people might say, you know, using it on DPS is wasting it because it can actually heal for 300. But I mean, I think Barrage is like the perfect use of the new Nano Boost to keep that Pharah alive, because, I mean, just think about, you let that Pharah get down low, and then at the last second you use that Nano Boost, and then there's no way they're going to kill that Pharah during that barrage, and then it enables so much damage output and damage output afterwards because they have that Nano to drop some rockets into that enemy team.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Mei ultimate come out in a little bit. That's gotta be something that New Mexico has in their mind for what they're wanting to do. The Winston didn't jump, so it looks like that they were able to keep everybody together, breaking down one of the pillars, so this might be the time that they're gonna go.
Yeah, they're definitely got to be looking for some kind of engagement here. The Blizzard doesn't catch anyone, is able to freeze the Junkrat mid-air, but they are able to finish off the kill finally. And they might be able to win it just off of that. And of course, a barrage in the background from Poito. New Mexico State still staggering here because there's only 10 seconds left. I didn't even realize. Such a strong defense from Arlington.
Uh-oh. Yeah, they are in the final seconds. Nobody's going to be able to get there. It seems that Spirit Wizard's trying to kind of just hobble to the point in the air. Doesn't make it, though. So unfortunate. Not able to even get, I believe, a percentage on the board. We'll see in just a second here. And no time and 0% captured. So this will either end in a tie, considering that they can't get
much of anything. I don't even think they had a Lucio. They only had a Brig, I think.
I believe so for that.
So to only have a Brig for your healing, waiting for that Moira to come back from spawn, and for Arlington to recognize that and to push onto that advantage, keep going forwards, and really just take the fight when they wanted to, push that advantage and find the win.
Yeah, we are seeing adaptations from the teams, though. I can greatly appreciate, as mentioned, the Pharah. That's something that I felt has been lacking, at least earlier on in the stages. But it seems that teams are kind of warming up to it a little bit. Of course, it depends on who you have on your team for DPS. If you're going to have that projectile player, can they actually perform, especially in a tournament such as this, where, of course, it gets increasingly harder as you just move forward with everything. So,
and also to mention, it's not a familiar setup. I mean, being on that stage, there's a lot more pressure than you'd expect. Even at a smaller event like this, relatively smaller event like this, there's a lot of pressure, and it's very different. It's very difficult.
Yeah, we got an opportunity to talk to pretty much every single team for this event before we started, and the vast majority of them said that this was their first LAN for sure, and even just events in general. Most of the teams are pretty new, at least for being put together, most of them within the past month, maybe within the past couple weeks. There was only a couple of them that had been together for a prolonged period of time. Maybe the organization was around, but they weren't able to have as much practice as some of the other teams. So everybody's still kind of finding themselves, getting good experience, of course, regardless of win or loss. This is something that you can take away so much from.
But I think it is great. Here at OP Live, we have a chance to really put on that first event for them, give them their first LAN experience. I know we're having a good time.
Oh, I definitely am for everything. So definitely big shout out once more, of course, to our sponsors, the Dallas Fuel, putting this on, as well as Team Envy. So we will be getting into more quarterfinal matches as we progress forward, and then we'll eventually get into semis, and then, of course, make sure you guys stick around for the finals. Of course, a bit later on, we'll have some more power talks as we move forward, but we'll go to a quick break, and we'll be back with another quarters final match right after this.
Hello and welcome back here at OP Live Dallas. We are bringing you our second Power Talk of the day. This time it is from Jeff Moore, President and COO of the Dallas Fuel and Team Envy. He joined them this past July. Before that, he spent 18 years with the Dallas Stars and 5 years in Austin with their F1 program. And he's going to be helping us learn how to get your foot in the door for esports.
All right, thank you for, I'd like to start by saying thank you for coming here today. Obviously, Overwatch Day is going to be the biggest part of the weekend, and we appreciate your choosing to be here for this. Very exciting for us, the largest college Overwatch tournament to be held in the history of the world, and we appreciate you making this a success for us. So we're going to talk today a little bit about how to get your foot in the door into esports, and really it's going to be, from my perspective, more about how to get into sports or really any area of high demand interest that you have, which is, because I've been on both sides. I had to get into it myself 28 years ago, and then also I have a lot of people I talk to that want to get into it or get back into it after a period of time. So if we start with kind of being on how I got into it, I would say that I had a huge interest in sports, and a lot of people will talk about when you start looking at your career path when you're in college or even earlier, is that you should either go into something you have a big passion for, or you should do something that has a attractive economic path to it. And what I would say is, I would probably say, instead of just going into something you have a passion for, you just do something that you have a combination of a passion for and something you're good at. I would say that I had a huge passion for basketball as a child. And with this gene pool, I was not going to get off the floor in any way, shape, or form well enough to play basketball. So although I had a passion for it, I had no talent for it. So generally speaking, what I would say is that you have to find something that you're both good at and that interests you to give your best self to it, right? So obviously by your presence here today, you're interested in esports, gaming, things like that. And so you've already taken a first crucial step, which is to get engaged into it, because essentially you learn by doing, right? Like when we're looking on the other side of the desk at people that we want to invest in to come work for us, we're looking for people that have skills, right? We're looking for people that can dedicate themselves either through their effort and their availability, and we can teach them what to do, or that they already come prepackaged with some skill, like for instance, marketing movies and things like that into a local marketplace. Or we're looking for people that are architects in the sports and entertainment world, and they can transition that into how that might work for us in sports. So we're looking kind of on the younger side of the scale for people that have been actively engaged and have some level of insight that they can offer us. And then we're looking for people that have skill sets that have been defined, that they can bring something to the table from their area of expertise. So if we start with young people, I would say that just playing the game isn't enough, right? Like when you come in and you have an interview with someone and they're saying, tell me why you want to do this, the thing they're really asking you is, tell me why you're going to solve my problems, right? Because frankly, my job as the president of a team isn't to make your dreams, your career dreams come true, right? That's not my job. My job is to make our organization successful. And so I know that there is a level of opportunity and problems that we have, and we have a limited amount of time and money and focus that we can expend to solve those problems or take advantage of those opportunities. And when you come in and talk about how much you love this, that's good, but it's not necessarily solving my problems, or our organizational problems. So what you have to prove is how you can help us in that regard. And so if you're telling me that you've had a lifelong interest in doing this, what I want to see is, I want to see proof of that, right? I want to see that you have engaged in esports in the high school level. You started a club there at your high school. You did that in college, that you have done it as a hobby, that you have volunteered for an event such as this, or gotten paid to work at an event such as this, because all those things give you some level of experience that then can help you create insights for us to make things better for fans of future events that we have, right? Or we have specific issues and opportunities that we need people with specialized skills, like Liam Neeson. If we ever need someone rescued or killed, we would go to Liam Neeson because he has those skills. But if we need a building designed, we have to go to people who have exhibited skills and have proof on their resume that they've designed kind of high quality, great fan experiences and facilities they've done. Or if we go to look at marketing people, we want to find people that have exhibited, successful behavior in that regard at other things. So if you want to get into a space and there's a barrier to entry, then you have to figure out, how do you overcome that barrier, right? What makes you unique and special? And everyone has something that makes them unique and special, even if it's just their effort or the fact that they could be an apprentice and forego, kind of a lucrative first job, which is what I did. So when I was young, I was just out of graduate school, I had 2 job opportunities. One was a pretty good paying job, and the other one essentially was minimum wage. And I chose the minimum wage job because honestly, I was poor and my family had gone bankrupt, and so I wasn't used to having any money at that time. And so it didn't bother me to have no money for another year of my life. And I thought I would take the opportunity to essentially work for free in a space that I cared about passionately and see if I could make it. And then if I couldn't, I would go back and take the other job, and live my life. So what I did was I made kind of a bet, a gamble, an investment to get into the space, and it turned out to be great for me, right? Because the people I worked for were passionate about what they're doing, and I worked for a place called the Dallas International Sports Commission, which was a nonprofit sports economic development group. And we worked on bringing the World Cup to Dallas in 1994 and then relocating the Minnesota North Stars in 1993 to Dallas. So I got hired as the first employee of the Dallas Stars in 1993 because I had, I was there, right? Like I was one of the few people who was there on the ground, intimately involved in the project because, because I'd made that investment in time and taken that risk to be there. So my advice to you would be that you should work on your skill set, right? You should work on, if you want to get into marketing or communications or anything like that, you should work on your skill set. Like how do you communicate professionally? How do you present yourself? What is your research that you've done on the industry? How can you present yourself as someone who at least knows the right questions to ask? Because if you walk into an interview and you're waiting for them to do the work, then you've lost. If you are already working for a company and you're waiting for them to give you a professional development program, you've already lost because you are in charge of you, right? You are your own product and you are your greatest advocate for it. And as a president of a team, if you're not passionately behind your own development, then why should I take that burden on, right? Like I want to help people that are already great at what they do and are helping themselves, right? I don't mind being supportive, but I want people who are passionately out for themselves and their development. Does that make sense? Bueller, is everyone asleep now? Okay. Can we take like maybe 1 or 2 questions before I end this? Yeah?
How'd you get all of this started? Like Envy in Dallas, like how'd you get that going?
Well, I did it the old-fashioned way, which is I let someone else do it. Our founder and CEO is a guy named Mike Rufail, and he essentially in his free time became one of the best Call of Duty players in the world. So then when he would go online to play, he couldn't find anyone to play with because it'd all drop out of the game as soon as he showed up. So he had to go find these high-end tournaments where he could actually play. And then as a 21-year-old and a group of 16-year-olds, he formed a team because he had a checking account, a driver's license, he could book hotel rooms, and he was an adult, and he saw the future, which is we should put these guys together, and we should travel around the world and make money playing this game. So he was a pioneer in the field. But just like when you see a rocket on a launch pad getting ready to go into space, this is the only part that goes into space, right? All the rest of it is fuel that propels it. So Mike is this piece, right? And all the rest of it are investors and people who've worked there and players and all those things, right? So when you have something like this, which is pretty cool, you've got the trade group, which does all the exhibits. You've got eGency, which is a Salesforce agency that puts this on. You've got our team, which has been in existence for 12, 13 years, and has hardworking guys like CJ taking pictures. He's trying to find the right angle to make me look skinny. He's going to be working hard at that for a while now. He may not be that smart. He may not have that type of lens. I don't know. But he's kind of given a lot of his life to working in production and marketing for a company like this. Moved here to Dallas when the team moved here. So there's a lot of people that you may never meet that have a deep passion for this, and they've essentially invested themselves into it to make this work. So you'll never go to a place like this and see anything that one person did, right? Success has many fathers and failure's an orphan, right? And the reason for that is if you want to be successful, there's a whole lot of people that had to contribute. And when something fails, people look for one scapegoat to say why it failed, right? So if you want to be a part of this, the first way to do that is to find a way to be a part of this, which is usually to volunteer, right? Because then what happens? Then you start meeting people, right? And so that helps your professional network as you start meeting people and they start knowing you, and they can realize that you're someone who's reliable, who'll show up early, who'll ask what he can do to get things done and wants to be a part of it. And then what will happen is they'll start taking an interest in you. They'll start to ask you, well, tell me your name again, where are you going to school, what are you studying, what do you want to be a part of? And then you start telling them what you want. But the first thing to interest them in you is you have to solve one of their problems, which is you have to be a reliable volunteer that helps them do things in the right way. And then once you've made that, then the transaction kind of pivots, and now they start taking interest in you. Does that make sense? And then as they can give you, subtle advice on, okay, well, make sure you finish, get good grades, finish your degree, because then that shows that you've achieved a certain level of production and you're reliable, and you can set a goal and can finish it. And then they're more likely to hire people they know. And why is that? It's because they want to get rid of barriers, right? And so if they trust you because you've been reliable by volunteering for the organization for 2 years while you're in college, then when this position opens up that you're qualified for, they'd rather take less risk by hiring someone they know doesn't, not show up, and someone who can work and play well with others and things like that. Because when you post a job, there's literally, like my wife is sitting right here and she's worked for the National Basketball Association. Whenever she'd go ask for a raise, the guy would pull out a drawer of resumes and say, there are literally 1,000 resumes right here of people who want your job. So that means she didn't get the raise, by the way, if you're wondering how that went. But then when one of the guys she worked with moved to Dallas to work for the Mavericks, he wants to bring her because he knows her and he knows she's good and she knows there's no risk. He knows there's no risk if he brings her, right? And so then I meet her and looked at her resume and thought we should hire her for different reasons. It was a risk reward thing too, but we're going to talk offline about that. Anyway. All right, I'm not going to hit the snooze on this timer. I'm going to just end this talk now. But I will be around out front over at our booth if anyone has any follow-up questions they want to ask or introduce themselves or whatever. Again, thank you for coming. And unlike my daughter's friend last night who said he's a Houston fan, which I almost crawled through her text message and choked him out. We want all of you to be Dallas Fuel fans, right? We know this thing's pretty new, but we want you to be Dallas Fuel fans. We appreciate your support, and we want to be the sort of experience you can invite people that you care about to, and we can make the whole thing grow and be great together. All right, thank you.
All right, everybody. So we are going to be kicking this second part of the Power Talk over to Aaron Adkins. You might know him better as Arrow. He is the head coach of the Dallas Fuel. He's been involved in esports for 2 years, full-time with Overwatch, coaching teams such as Fusion University and now, of course, Dallas Fuel, and is also the head coach for Team USA in the World Cup. Put your hands together and let's bring Arrow to the stage.
How's it going, guys? Cool. So when I found out about this opportunity to talk about coaching, I was actually super excited because it's something that I think is really interesting. Because I'll talk a little bit about how I got into coaching, but more importantly, I want to talk about the evolution of coaching and what it means to esports now for Overwatch and other games. So talking a little bit about my past, I'll try to keep it a little short without going too deep, but I grew up in a military family. So if anyone knows what that's like, you move every few years, you have to remake friends. It's kind of an interesting thing. So gaming became a pretty big part of my life right off the bat. So whenever we'd move, I would always go back to, playing N64 or playing, Blizzard games. I was big into, StarCraft and that kind of stuff. And one of the things that we did was I always go back and play sports as well with all these new military teams and all this stuff. And in high school, I actually had a wrist injury that kind of ended all that. So I ended up being pushed more into gaming because it was easier for me to do because I didn't have to push the limits on what I could do physically with my wrist. And I focused on my studies. So going out of high school, I ended up traveling with a public speaker. And I want to highlight this because I think it describes something that's important about coaching that I'll get into here in a little bit. Is a lot of people think that coaching is specifically about like having this deep knowledge of the game and being the brightest in your field, which to an extent it is. But it's more about understanding people and how helping people work together as a team, helping players work together, teamwork, because one of the crazy things about esports is that the game on a fundamental level changes every few months with a patch. You can be grinding something, and then suddenly all of that stuff gets thrown out the window, and suddenly your main hero isn't played anymore. It's nerfed to the ground. You can't play Mercy anymore, and now you're in a Luciana meta, stuff like that. So it's not so much about understanding the super deep niche things about a hero. It's understanding how to make the team work in this new meta under new strengths, under new weaknesses. How do you get the most out of your team's effectiveness without having years and years to grind this one style? So traveling with a public speaker, one of the things about it was I got to understand people more on a fundamental level. And one of the things that I noticed, regardless of where you go in the US, is that there's always people that are kind of stuck. You're in a rut a little bit, and helping people unlock the potential of themselves and how they view something that they want to go into, how they view their dreams and their goals and how they get better. All that kind of stuff is stuff that you don't get taught in school. I think one of the crazy things about a lot of school systems is you're taught how to pass a test. You're not taught how to master the material. And so more important about coaching, rather than understanding how to just win a game, it's about understanding how to work as a team, how to work as a player, and how to improve. If you teach someone how to learn, they'll master the content. If you teach someone how to master one piece of content, they'll be good at one piece of content. So when you look at the evolution of esports and games and understanding, Overwatch, with every 3 months you have this brand new meta, this brand new stuff you got to learn. It's more important for the team to understand how to learn, how to improve, rather than just learning this one piece of content. So going into my time in Overwatch, I started originally as a player under this little team called Winston's Ult IRL. I'll tell you, we didn't do very well. But I originally didn't intend to coach. I loved Overwatch, but a couple things kind of pushed me into coaching. There was a few things. So number one, I realized I was washed up. Number two, I actually worked I was doing Overwatch part-time. I worked a 9-to-5 job in IT for a credit union. And so Overwatch was what I would do in my free time, which with the growing demands of esports and competition, you just, when you're at the highest level, you need to be able to commit everything to it. And there's a lot of parallels that you can draw between esports and traditional sports right now with the requirements that's on a player and on a coaching staff. But one of the other things was there's a lot of documentaries out there, and this is at a time when esports was still not like the most popular thing. Coaching staffs were not popular, and you see a lot of these teams struggling in certain areas. Or a lot of videos out there, and like the League of Legends is a good example. I won't go too deep into what teams they were, all that, but there's a lot of teams that struggle with conflict resolution. So when something happens with the team and players disagree, you know, this big patch change happens, or you don't do as well as you thought you were going to. A lot of teams struggle with butting heads because it's, well, this is what we should have done, this is what we could have done. There's not that authority figure to come in and say, this is what happened, this is what we're going to do, right? This is where we did well, this is where we can improve, those kinds of things. So seeing all that and seeing Overwatch evolve, when Overwatch originally came out, you know, that's when I was a player. And all of those things combined together made me realize that I had the background to be able to help people work together. And so I pushed it. So I'd work my 9 to 5. It actually was technically like 7 to 4, but you know, details. I'd come immediately home from work and then go jump into scrims. This team, a handful of teams I worked for, but one of the more notable ones was this team called FNRGFE. We worked together. It was this part-time thing. And jump right into scrims, and then I'd do VODs immediately after. I'd sleep for 6 hours and go back into work. And it was this thing because I was okay with doing it because it was my dream. You know, I realized this is what I could do, this is what I could be good at, and so I pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. So, these guys are gaming. So when I had an opportunity to go full-time into coaching, I took it right away. And it was a pretty crazy series of events leading up to coming into Fuel and the Envy family. So going into Fusion University, it was a bunch of kids. There's a very big difference in coaching a bunch of teenagers versus coaching adults. But the biggest thing still remains the same in that it's teaching or working with players on working together as a team more so than mastering the content. So coming into Fuel's stage 4 recently, that was my biggest goal. You could ask any of the players. I didn't go in and tell them how to play their heroes. I wouldn't go into the NFL and tell Jerry Rice how to catch a football. You know, I wouldn't, you know, it's teaching or working with the players on, you know, these are our goals and scrims. This is what we're working on. And this is how we're going to approach this upcoming week, this upcoming 2 weeks, having a plan for week 1, week 2, 6 months, 1 year. What does that all look like? So one of the things that I implemented going in is understanding the different types of practice and what it means to be in a learning zone, a performance zone. What does that mean for when we're in practice? What are we working on? And so a couple pieces that I'll give if you're an aspiring coach, or if you're even just a player on a team, you kind of want to be able to structure your practices a little more, or just kind of understand what it means to practice. In esports, it's hard to do just normal practice like you would see in traditional sports. Running drills isn't really the same thing. You can't just go blink on Tracer in a custom map and, you know, be ready to play. You know, it's scrimming. You scrim against other teams and you play. And in doing that, there's a lot of weird emotions that get into it because it's the idea of, well, if we lose this, then we're not good enough. When in reality, scrims are practice, and it's the mentality of what can we work on, what are we improving on. There's a clear goal, a clear understanding of this is where we're going. So in a learning zone, you understand that mistakes are to be expected, but it doesn't matter if you win the map, if you lose the map. What matters is, did we achieve our goal? Did we achieve what we were working on? Did we, you know, if the goal was communication, did we get better at communication? If you lose the map but you get better at communication, your practice was successful. Then you have these other types of practice where it's about performance. And so that's where you're doing whatever you can to win and clearly defining when you're doing what for your team. So driving into now what that means for the different types of coaching. Okay, because like I said, the evolution of esports right now there's a lot of similarities between traditional sports and esports now, with the requirements that are being put on players. And what that means is, one of the things that Fuel's doing is actually pretty exciting and pretty cool for the upcoming season is we built out our coaching staff. to include a lot of roles. Okay, so you have things like a head coach, you have a strategy coach, and now we have things like role coaches. So a lot of our guys here, we have DPS coach, tank coach, support coach, and the idea is we're working together to provide everything that we need for our players to succeed on an individual level, but also as a team. So there's a lot of resources that we're putting in, and that's kind of where esports is going now with the crazy work days. If you don't know what a work day for an esports player looks like, it's pretty crazy. Because they usually have, for a team, you have an hour of VOD review or something like that, and then anywhere from 4 to 8 hours of scrims, and then players are expected to play solo queue afterwards. So if you total up all those hours, you don't have a 9-to-5 work week. You're not working 40 hours. These players are putting in, upwards of 80 hours a week sometimes. And so creating a balance of work and life and free time is actually becoming more and more important to increase just kind of the level of, decrease burnout and increase, the desire to push forward. So all of that is to say, esports coaching is evolving. Esports itself is evolving. And it's a really super, super cool thing. I encourage you guys to keep following Fuel, keep following us, because we're kind of blazing the trail with what it means to coach in esports right now. And so keep following us, keep supporting us. Appreciate everyone coming out here. OP Live's this is a great event. You guys are great, and make sure you guys cheer on these collegiate guys going forward. Okay, thanks everybody.
Hello and welcome back to OP Live Dallas. We're only getting started here. For information on the rest of the weekend as well as our future events, be sure to follow us on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. On Twitter, I think it's OP_live_Dallas.
That it is, and make sure to use that hashtag OPLive18. Make sure that you catch some funny faces we're maybe making if you get the opportunity to. I'd love to see that on Twitter for sure. And another shout out to Reaction AV for their amazing work on the stage, as well as providing additional event technology. Also wanted to mention Playful Corp, who is a developer here out of Frisco, as we have mentioned, who've helped OP Live get off the ground for the event. And last but not least, GameStop, who is based out of Dallas. And so big shout out to them for helping out with the event and helping the community grow like this one.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. We're going to be getting into, this is our first semifinal, correct?
That it is, yes. So we are going to be getting over to UTA versus OU. And so we did get to see UTA on stream going up against...
Yeah, we saw them on stream multiple times playing against New Mexico State.
Yep.
So we're going to get to see them going up against Oklahoma, and this is going to be our first time seeing them on stream. So Texas, Arlington, and Oklahoma battling it out on stage for the right to go to the finals here. This one should be a fun one to watch. Our map pool this time, it is another best of 3. It's going to be Nepal, Kings Row, and Hanamura. So almost the same. We're swapping out Junkertown. What do you think about the maps this time?
I personally prefer Kings Row a bit more over Junkertown, but that's just me. I think it's an oldie but a goodie. Everybody greatly appreciates Kings Row and the way that it is, the snowball kind of effect if you're able to take point A. But we'll get into that once we get into the second round. First, we're starting off here on Nepal. We'll see what the teams are going to roll out with in just a little bit of time. I'm very interested to seeing OU since we haven't seen any of them just yet. So they could definitely be pulling something out that we haven't seen at all in the tournament quite yet. But it'll be interesting for sure.
And we are going to be starting off on Shrine here. As if you may remember, this is actually my favorite point on Nepal because of the way those stairs work. Before we saw Texas Arlington really loves running that GOATS comp. We'll see if maybe they want to come out with a similar strategy here, maybe try and change things up a little bit, and both teams making their way towards the point right now.
Rolling out with the Lucio, that has been a favorite pick, as well as with Moira for the supports to be able to keep the Taints healthy. We actually have a Doomfist here. We haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, Neelis on the Doomfist, the first Doomfist pick on stream today. I sure hope it won't be the last, as he's one of my favorite heroes to watch. Poyito, though, in this guy on that Pharah, that's a really tough matchup for the Doomfist and the Hanzo, but Oklahoma University playing it perfectly, finding the first 2 kills there, a great charge on a Moon Cryptid. Texas Arlington going to get the disengage, but not before Wombologist finds 2 more kills, and that's going to be the first point cap going to Oklahoma.
Wombologist giving out a lesson in Wombo to the side of UT Arlington, so solid job for them to be able to take the point and start racking up a little bit percentage. Of course, we have Paul Cat on the Hanzo. It's gonna be a little bit hard to take out the fire from that sort of range unless he's using that storm arrow, but I can greatly appreciate the pit being able to break down shield.
Oh, but he does take down the fire. Palcatraz finding that early kill. Idikiri might want to use that res to bring up that extra damage, but it looks like Texas Arlington is just going to try and disengage, as there goes Tomato Lord. Cryptid going to get popped out of the mech and going to get taken down there. I'm surprised with how disciplined Oklahoma University has been playing that they didn't try and stagger that more.
No, I greatly appreciate them to be able to know what the limit is, not be overly aggressive. Yes, they ended up leading off the fight with the pits, but just knowing what your limits are, it's better to be safe rather than sorry, of course. And of course, just giving a little bit of a wave there. Dr. Ban gonna be Dr. Nice as he's just hanging back on the point. So we'll see what teams are gonna lead off as we are going to get ready for another fight. Percentage is ticking up, being extremely patient on the side of UT Arlington, but here we go.
Oh, Doomfist getting stunned. Tommy gonna take him down, but a huge shatter from Dr. Bainling. Poyito fighting back with a barrage. They still have the man advantage. They're up 2-1, but they lost Poyito. That's their main damage. Dez is going to find a kill onto Dr. Bainling, and Texas Arlington is just trying to keep this going. They're pushing their advantage further. They keep finding kills. Can they finish this fight off?
It seems that
gonna take a Wumbo trip into the pillar as Doomfist is going to go up, and it comes down.
Oh man, takes down Dez immediately, and look at that! The effect that Doomfist has on a fight! Takes down McCree, takes down Ryan, defects the Diva, and just turns that fight right on its head. Takes it back for Oklahoma, and I think that should be the end of this first section.
Yeah, launching that grab from far distance, just trying to help out the team before they're able to make it back. Gonna pop the sound barrier as we see Hanzo is coming up from spawn, but it looks like it's all gonna be for naught. I believe OU is probably gonna wrap this up and secure 100% to 0 for OU to lead off on Nepal.
And you know, we talked about how the Doomfist hasn't been seen so far today on stream, and we see right there why that was so confusing. The impact Doomfist had. 1 kill, 2 kills, 3 kills, disrupting everything in such, I mean, it was like a 2v5 situation. Able to stall it out, able to turn it around, even able to find some kills in such a high pressure situation. And I think they're gonna have a lot of success with that pick. Definitely Arlington's gonna have to figure out how to game plan around it.
Yeah, we keep talking about momentum and whatnot as teams start finding their footing on the point and start having fights go more in their favor. Doomfist is one of those characters that the more momentum he has, the deadlier he becomes. He becomes somewhat of a pseudo tank with the more damage that he's doing and just racking up shields on himself, so he doesn't need that much healing or resources to be deadly. And of course, having a one punch kill on any DPS target that he comes across.
And here they go. It looks like we're going to see Arlington trying to take this close range positioning on the left side, but Oklahoma is sticking true to their game plan. They want to run with that Orisa, so they're going to play near the edges. They're going to force Arlington to play out in their zone, and Neil is coming through with a rocket punch onto Dez. The hook onto Tomato Lord there, unable to finish off the kill, but so much damage coming through, and now they're stuck in this tight room, playing against a Roadhog, playing against a Hanzo, playing against a Doomfist in this tight room. So much damage, but they're fighting back. They got 2 kills already. They keep going.
It looked like they were going to be in big trouble fighting in that small room versus the Doomfist, but they end up fighting their way back and taking them out. Here we go, leading off with the Dragon.
The Dragon Strike comes through, able to take down Dr. Bainley. Kitrin on the backside, using that Coalescence, keeping her team alive, keeping them in the fight, finding kills, and here comes the Doomfist. There goes kills. Wombologist on this Roadhog, finding the damage, and look at that.
Oh, that was a late kill onto Tomato Lord.
OU just finding ways to stay alive. Let that Doomfist be able to come back, and Roadhog able to finish off those kills.
Now that we've gotten into the semis for this event, we're starting to see bigger differential in terms of the rankings of the teams. OU coming in ranked about 3.9, almost 4K team, so that's going to be pretty close to a Grandmaster's level team, where in comparison UTA being a mid-diamond-ish team from what I can remember for that. So we're starting to see just the mechanics and the teamwork, the synergy come into play for all of that as they're leading off with the next fight, and they do have a bit of ultimates up.
But Oklahoma has to be careful to maintain their discipline, because I think the strategy is their real advantage. There's not much of a mechanical difference between 3.4K and 3.9K. It's really that discipline, that strategy that you were talking about, as Nihilist just goes nutso on this Doomfist. And I think they're really showing that their discipline is very strong.
It definitely is. Being able to just be extremely patient, understand that they have an Orisa barrier, which they can play far behind to...
Oh no, Tomato Lord and Moon Cryptid getting picked, both of them trying to rush to the point. Dez is going to be able to make it on that Reaper thanks to the Wraith form and the Lucio speed boost, but here comes Nihilist on the Doomfist. Every single time it looks like Arlington's going to have some momentum, Nihilist comes flying in, RKO out of nowhere, and Oklahoma going to take Nepal for a 1-0 lead in this best of 3.
Yeah, they were looking so strong. We got the opportunity to talk to OU right before the match begun, and they had mentioned the Doomfist. They mentioned to keep an eye out for that, and they're definitely showing up for that here on Nepal, as we have Wombologist going to be picking up the play of the game, so very much deserved, putting out tons of damage. I'm really interested to see, yep, that's exactly what I was wanting to know, is how much in the fight was he, but the Moira being in there 67%, and then Wumbo as well, also having 56 participation. That's so good for them to know how impactful they can be with the AoE, and then with the whole hog being able to break down the Rhine shield extremely quickly, having the AoE area of effect for that ultimate, and then also being able to pull people off into the abyss on that map. So we'll see what they end up swapping to as we proceed to the next map, but I'm hoping that UTA can actually fire back here.
I think those stats also speak to Oklahoma's focus calling and focus fire because, you know, especially after the nerfs, Roadhog really can't solo kill people anymore, and Moira as well, not really that good at solo killing. But the fact that both of them showing up with a high percentage of eliminations and kill participation shows that the team is really following through on those hooks, really following through on those like people that get low from the Moira orbs and get low from all of that poke damage. And I think if Oklahoma can keep that focus calling up, they can go even deeper into this tournament as we head towards Kings Row. What are you expecting out of both teams here?
Ooh, I would expect for them to set up on the higher ground. So as we kind of see towards the back of the point, there is going to be kind of the setup for the stairs that you can come up across. And then you could even go to more or less like the third level of the area so that you can have good vision of the point. Set up a sniper there, maybe set up behind an Orisa shield. Of course, you have to keep in mind where the team's going to be moving. But if you're going to run something like Goats and then be behind a big shield, then you're going to bait the teams into going onto you on the point. Basically have to jump down and then try to force a fight there. So even though the higher ground has its advantages, you have to keep in mind, well, when do we actually have to fight? When do we have to pull the trigger to not let them get any percentage? Do we give up a little bit of percentage, but win the fight overall? Maybe we can get pit. There's a lot of things that you have to consider on this, and it's really going to come down to strategy.
Yeah, so I agree with you 100%, and also I'd like to point out that Kings Row is one of the first maps where Doomfist really had a lot of success. In general, this map, you know, it was second map ever in Overwatch. Most people consider it to be the most polished. It's a staple of many tournaments, and I think it's a big advantage here for Oklahoma that they have this player that's comfortable in Doomfist, who's so much stronger on this map than he is on other maps.
Yeah, he really excels on that second point, being in the tight alleyways for the corridors as you're going to push the payload. Of course, not saying that the first point is bad for him, but then he gets even stronger considering that you're able to get that point A on the objective. So rolling out here, we will see both teams gonna be going for a more brawly type comp, trying to get a pick on them though.
Yeah, Oklahoma spotting out Arlington right away, who was trying to play in this co-chain spot, but look at that, Nihilist getting charged by Tomato Lord. Tomato Lord though, getting cut off from his team yet again, gonna go down, but it doesn't matter, they've already got the advantage they wanted. Dr. Bainley goes down, Mooncryptic gets knocked out of the mech, but Arlington is pushing Oklahoma back further and further. Palcatraz gets knocked out of the mech, and they keep finding damage. Nihilist though, is back in the fight. We've already seen the impact that the Doomfist can have. He comes in with a rocket punch. Can he find the kills that he's looking for though? It looks like he can't, but the Graviton comes out. That's so early from Wobologist. Here comes the Coalescence as well, and this is just a brawl. So many ults, so much damage coming out. I can't believe we haven't seen more kills.
I believe there was a little bit of a miscommunication with the uppercut on the Doomfist as well as with the Earth Shatter from what it looked like, but D.Va coming down and then also gonna be falling down to the point, gonna pick up a few kills right here. Doomfist showing up really big.
We saw it for a little bit, that combo right there, using the D.Va Bomb to turn the shield and get everyone from Arlington grouped behind the shield, and then dropping in behind the shield with the Meteor Strike. That was a beautifully executed combo by Oklahoma University. Didn't get the kills they were looking for, but definitely helped them secure this point.
Now, depending on how spawns are going to play out, it looks like everybody will spawn accordingly for UT Arlington, so nobody will be overly staggered. But what did they spend in the previous fight to be able to try and retaliate against Oklahoma University? They've been showing how strong they are. As soon as that we went into Nepal in the last round, they're just showing such good teamwork and execution all around, but they're going really aggressively here. Sound barrier comes out.
Yeah, it looked like Arlington was trying to hold at the arch, and Oklahoma was having none of it. They just speed right onto him, but so many support ults up for Arlington. They use the sound barrier, they use the coalescence. None of them are going down here, but there comes a grab. The sound barrier's already been used. So much damage going into that. Tommy goes down. Can they find more? But here comes a grab from the defense. Arlington trying to fight back desperately, but Dez has gone down as well. There goes Edakiri. There's no healing left for this defense. Meteor Strike comes down from Nihilist, and that's going to be it. Oklahoma going to keep on pushing this payload.
Neela's gonna have that ultimate up. It seems every single fight just doing so much damage as soon as you get that rocket punch off, and depending on the target that you hit, whether it's a forward kill or just getting so much damage even onto tanks, being able to knock Ryan down considering that he's gonna be charging towards you. It's good that you have something to kind of stabilize or neutralize that Reinhardt charge, not just your other Reinhardt versus their Reinhardt, but also the Doomfist to be able to come in for that.
And now as Arlington initiates here, we see the rally coming down. That's the advantage of having the Brig instead of the Doomfist. They can get those extra shields, but Tommy still goes down early. There goes Tomato Lord as well. They're already down 2. Arlington, Mech gets caught, make it down 3, and unfortunately, even with the advantage of having the rally, they still can't make up for the insane damage output that the Doomfist gives you.
Yeah, looking on the side of OU, Dr. Bane in the back, just looking so strong, being able to push up and do almost whatever he wants, being pocketed by Wumbo and also the Moira. So it's looking very strong for them. But with the amount of damage that they got up, you got to be knowing that they're going to have some ultimate coming into this next fight. And it was such a perfect reaction on their side, too. The Earthshatter came out, but Lucio's response to that to be able to block his team. Earthshatter finds nothing, though.
A great block by Tomato Lord as Dr. Baneling tries to come in with a shatter there. Neela's actually going to take down Farah on the Doomfist. The Diva Bomb takes down Tomato Lord as well. Itakiri trying desperately to stay alive in this grab. Neela's messing up the Meteor Strike combo, but finishes it off with a punch of Itakiri. And this fight has been all Wombologist and Neela's. Red filling the kill feed as Oklahoma proving their superiority right now. Tomato Lord coming out, trying to get a shatter down, but getting booped up, and Wombologist finding yet another kill. Poyito has that grab up. Is he going to be able to do anything with it? He's got to use it right now. Nihilist was so close to going down, but able to get it all back with that punch. There goes the sound barrier, and that grab is just not going to be enough damage.
The supports are showing up so big for OU to be able to respond to any sort of offensive pressure that Arlington is putting out. We see the sound barrier once again for the reaction, as well as the coalescence, but it looks like that they are probably going to be able to finish it off right here. So solid time from OU.
And we see that big shatter coming down from Dr. Baneling. Tomato Lord was alive on the point, and it looked like he might have been able to survive a lot longer, but he just gets knocked straight to the ground.
Yeah, it looked like that UTA was finding a little bit of their footing as the map would go on, but in the end, still putting up over 3 minutes, 3:15 on the clock to be able to wrap up all 3 points. So that's very solid job for OU. We'll see what the attack is going to entail as we get ready to see UTA push forward.
Yeah, I'm really interested, and I'm also surprised and a little disappointed that both teams were still running goats. I mean, obviously, we did see Neelis on the Doomfist instead of what we usually see. It looks like we're going to need a pause.
Yeah, player having a little bit of a problem. It's not going to be too long of an issue. So let's kind of recap a little bit over what we saw. So we saw a lot of the Doomfist with regards to opening people up, being in the back line, just having so much pressure that he can put onto the team to be able to just cause so much disruption. He's taking out DPS targets, taking out people like the Zarya in the back line to be able to move him away from the team and move her away from the team rather, and be able to just cause so much disruption. It's great in the way that they're playing and just enabling them. As mentioned though, the support ultimates, this is exactly how you think that you should play Overwatch for the support role anyways. Having those Lucio sound barriers come out at the most optimal times as you think maybe the Rocket Barrage is going to finally do something, or maybe somebody's going to make something happen with the Shatter. Seeing the Shatter come out and OU getting hit with that, but then you had sound barrier to cover that, and then you even had the Moira Orb kind of going with the rest of the team to be able to heal you up. You're not going to break through that unless you're able to have something like a Deadeye or an insta-kill.
And I do want to point out, there was a fight where the Lucio used Sound Barrier and they used Coalescence at the same time. And then, as soon as Sound Barrier wore off, the Grav comes out from this offense, from this Oklahoma offense. And I just got to wonder, where is the alt calling? How do they, how do they not realize that they're using both support ults and that the graviton is up. Like, they need to save one of those.
Yeah, ideally you want to. That's the one, I guess, blemish on this map that I can really see. Overall, it was still a very pretty game from them in the same way that Nepal was. So I'll give them a little bit of space there to use 2 ultimates at once. But overall, I mean, you can't argue with the time that they've been able to put up and everything. But UTA, how can they probably fight back and swing things more in their favor? It looks like that they're struggling a good bit with the Doomfist.
I think you hit it right on the head. They're struggling so much with the Doomfist. Even when the Doomfist doesn't do a lot in the fight, it's because they're spending so much energy trying to not die to the Doomfist that the rest of the team has so much space to do whatever they want. I really think they need to figure out some way to try and disable this Doomfist, try and just get back into this game.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see something that we maybe haven't seen in a little bit. I don't think a Bastion would be the answer to that. Doomfist is going to be able to, of course, get far in the back line to be able to disrupt them a good bit, especially if you're going to be on the side of offense. The positioning for that's going to be so awkward for UTA. May would be very questionable as well, but might be good for the charges and for the rocket punch to try and disrupt them a good bit. Maybe cut off somebody since you're going to have people diving on. But it looks like we are going to have a Pharah to lead off.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I like this comp. I like this comp coming out from Arlington because I think it's designed exactly to do what they need to do right now. So they're pushing onto Oklahoma. They're pushing them into this corner here by Archway, which gives them the opportunity to really push onto this point and take more space. Force Oklahoma out into open space where they don't want to fight because Oklahoma is playing that close range damage comp. They were expecting Ghost to come back into him, and here comes this engagement. A big anti from Tommy, but Dr. Bainley going to find the first kill onto Tomato Lord, and Nihilist in there finding a kill onto Itakiri as well. Looking for more, but unable to find it at the moment.
Their patience is so good. This is the way that you need to rotate in order to counter the offense of UTA. As they push forward, they kept backing up, giving them space, and trying to just wait for the opportune moment to be able to jump on them. They were very patient, and eventually they just pulled the trigger, and then they ended up winning the fight. So gonna have some ultimates up as UTA will be trying to find an opening of their own with some ultimates, but we'll see how that plays out. The shield is getting a bit low. You can see that by the crats as Doomfist is trying to see what he can make happen. Oh my god.
Here comes the nano onto Tomato Lord in the backline. Meanwhile, Nihilist looking for some more blood here, but unable to really connect with anything right now. It doesn't really matter though, because they invested that nano onto Tomato Lord and they didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah, this is a really interesting position for the side of UTA for where they're at. You're going to have the Pharah, and it seems possibly the Mercy staggered, able to get her out, so that's going to be really good from them, but just overstepping their boundaries there, knowing that the rest of the team was dead, so that will eat into their time. They're going to have coming up on 2 minutes left to try and crack open this defense of Oklahoma, but Oklahoma doesn't look like they're giving anything to them.
And I think the hack going to go down there onto the Diva, opening this space for Poyito to do that barrage. That was a good combo. It's just they couldn't find the right positioning because they were able to just back around that corner there and avoid the barrage damage entirely. Here comes the rally from this defense as Oklahoma re-engages on this point, but Poyito took down Moira. There's no Moira heals for this defense. Arlington should be able to push this advantage, but Wambala just able to bring it back thanks to that rally armor.
Yeah, good utilization of the support ultimates, and Ultra going to fall in the back once more. This Doomfist actually gets hacked. We'll see how much trouble he's actually in. Probably going to be able to make it out with the support of his team. Zarya is pushing up.
Able to get that Zarya bubble, as you mentioned, the support of his team, and then that allows him to stay alive long enough for the hack to wear off and to get out.
Yeah, they're just looking so solid. The Pharah is very respectable to be able to get up in the face of Oklahoma, especially how we saw the rocket barrage in the last fight, which broke the shield entirely because it does so much damage and there was no reaction from the Diva there. But considering that you weren't able to make anything happen with the Sombra, not able to have the Ryan, that's going to be a big problem.
And a big Diva bomb from Falcatraz finds 3, kills Poyito with the remake, and Nihilist finishing off Dez with that Meteor Strike. But I gotta say, look at Oklahoma, they just used 4 ults in that fight.
Yeah, they definitely did. So we'll see if that's going to come back and bite them. as we get into one of the last fights, going to be in the final 20 seconds of the fight. That UTA is going to try to find an opening and finally get some percentage on the board. It's going to be so hard from them. What can they actually do here? They do get the hack on the Rhine, though.
Yeah, they get the hack onto Dr. Bainling, and that's huge. Both teams pulling out a grab right now. Nihilus is caught in the grab for Oklahoma, and again, Oklahoma manages to find the damage they need to finish things off.
The thing here, considering that they're able to finish this up, and it looks like they are just going to need to wrap it up on the point. Ultra Poito actually ended up getting killed by the Moira before he could combo with the grab. Oh, here it comes!
He's able to find one, but he's all on his own. Can't find anything else. The rally coming out, just icing on top of the cake for Oklahoma. And this should be a fast 2-0 for them to get to the finals.
Yeah, that was a solid job from them, being able to basically shut out UTA, going 100-0 on Nepal, and then Kings Road gonna do a full hold and take it on offense 3-0. So I'm sure that we're probably gonna see that self-destruct from Caps here.
This is good. We didn't get a chance to see this angle before, so we gotta see where this Diva Bomb lands.
Oh,
right in the center there, and then catching the Pharah in that room. I was wondering how he managed to pull off that mech kill.
That was definitely something to, that was insanely impressive. Being able to realize exactly where Pharah was, understanding that she needed to run away, and then chase her down in the small form, and then just have that mech crash down on her. So solid job for them to be able to go up 2-0. And so teams are going to swap on the stage. We're going to eventually get over to Tech versus UNT for the other semifinals. So good job for OU to be able to take it over UTA 2-0. They will be in the finals as we're going to get over to the semifinals after a short break, and we will see who's going to advance from Texas Tech versus UNT. Welcome back to OP Live here in Dallas, Texas. I can hear you, crowd. Bring the hype. We are getting into our second semifinal. It will be Texas Tech versus UNT. So we are going to see who will advance to the finals to go face OU coming from out of the state to bring the power to Texas. We'll see what they end up doing in the finals eventually, of course. But first, let's get into this next match. What are you thinking as far as for Tech and UNT? We haven't seen
Tech whatsoever.
I don't think we've seen either of these teams on stream. It
Yeah.
should be pretty fun. We have heard them a lot throughout the day. These guys have been getting pretty hyped, and obviously we can hear the fans pretty hyped for this one as well. The map pool, we're going to be playing Volskaya, Rialto, and Numbani. So first time seeing Rialto today, the new map. Well, that is the newest map, right? No, Busan just came out.
That it is. I believe we're just going to swap maps. Oh, I'm sorry. So it looks like we're going to be going on to Nepal instead. So apologies for that. But nonetheless, Nepal has been a go-to favorite for teams for their very first stage. So, of course, everybody here should be very familiar for what we can expect on the multiple points. Of course, Faro's on some of the maps, having some Roadhogs, having some Goats. So we'll see how much teams are going to buy as we get into the rest of Nepal here.
Yeah. Crowd getting really hyped up for this one. Coming onto Nepal, it looks like we're going to be starting on Sanctum. Once again, remember, you got to watch out for the giant pit of despair. Both teams going to be looking for boops, hooks, holes, all kinds of things, trying to knock people into that hole, gain an advantage in the team fight. So, yeah, both these, I mean, from what we've seen so far, I mean, most teams preferred to play the Orisa on this. So, I mean, what do you think you expect?
Orisa's a pretty safe bet. Of course, you have the pull, or it's going to be the halts more than anything else that is going to pull people off, of course, for that momentum, as we're seeing Tech going to jump on the point first, so they're going to make a stand on the point and try to wait it out. So we'll see how that ends up going for them.
Yeah, Tech, as you mentioned, on the point, but North Texas quickly pushing in there. The Doomfist, though, executing, going in deep, but he's getting hacked by TKB. He's going to go down. That's a huge play for North Texas, and that's the advantage of having the Sombra. The big nade comes in from Joe there. River Lucky finishing off Mark and Toxic, and that's going to be it. North Texas winning that first fight. And I just got to go back. Joe with the big anti-nade. You see it in the kill feed. He had 3 assists from that.
Yeah, that was big, of course, being able to nullify that AoE healing. Of course, Ana not going to be able to shoot through the targets to be able to get onto the rest of Tech. So very solid job for them to be able to lead off with the percentage on the point. You got to wonder what ultimates are actually coming up. How was the spread in terms of damage? Who was able to get what going? So we see them trying to actually flank around the whole bat side.
Yeah, they're going to flank all the way around, and they're going to be pushing them from this other side, basically forcing North Texas to defend from a completely different angle. And it looks like it might have worked for a little bit, but no, it gets turned right back around, and the kill feed once again fills up with blue. Captain Carlos using that rally to keep everybody topped up with armor there. And I really think that, I mean, you know, it doesn't look like it in the kill feed, but TKB on this Sombra is the real reason why Texas Tech is having so much trouble here. That hack is so powerful, and it's giving River Lucky on this Doofus so much space to work with.
Yeah, they're grouping up very well, so solid job for them to not give any unnecessary ultimate charge over to North Texas, as we have a little bit of a sneak here as the hat goes out. TKB gonna get that onto the Farah as the fight ensues on the point.
Yeah, Toxic finds a boop onto Captain Carlos, but Neat and Leisure Force already down. Texas Tech down 2. Not much time left. If I was them, I would just disengage here. But no, they're pulling out the Nano onto the D.Va Mech. And did you see the D.Va Mech just disappear?
I
did. You see that?
That was a bit interesting. She's going to take a dip into the abyss.
Wow.
Go and regroup with her team, though. So we're coming up on 90%. We'll see if Tech is going to be able to make it back. It's going to be very close. They're going to likely have to speed boost onto the point and see what they can do.
Yeah, they're going to go in. They have no time left. This is it. If they're going to win a fight, it has to be this one. And the EMP comes in. Here comes the D.Va Bomb to try and counter it. Unable to find the damage they're looking for. Executor, meanwhile, nano boosted on this D.Va, has 2 kills. Looking for more. Leisure Force going so low in the sky. Finally going to get taken out, but not before he finds 3 kills. Executing on this Junkrat, finds another one. They need to stay on this point, though. Overtime ticking down. And they do manage to get it on it and get to overtime to keep going. The D.Va Bomb comes down from Executor. Repoc goes down. The Tire from Executing, unable to find anything. Well, it does get that D-Mech, I suppose, but I don't know how they're still contesting this.
Yeah, this is such a drawn-out fight. They're not wanting to go quietly into the night. Gonna be kicked off the map there, so that's gonna be big for Tet not having that front shield.
And we are gonna be having the Boostio making an appearance. Unable to find too much value. Does force River Lucky to use that punch though. He's stuck in the room and he goes down. And look at this, the kill feed, Texas Tech starting to make an advantage. They need to kill the hamster ball. Executor takes down Mark though.
They do, and Samson gonna take a dip and dive. Should have ducked probably on that one. Unfortunately did not dodge, and the point will flip. 99%, such a long fight, but finally able to fire back. Solid job from Texas Tech University.
Yeah, coming back from the brink, hanging by a thread. They flip it back, and North Texas has their work cut out for them to take this point back.
Yeah, they definitely do, considering that UNT was able to put up such a solid time, or percent rather, and just hold it off 99-0 before finally giving it over. You got to think that the reverse is totally possible, as to just finish it out strong. We have TKB trying to find something in the back.
Yeah, trying to find position here, but unable to quite get there. Captain Carlos gives them an opening, kills Leisure Force. Here comes the EMP. Diva Bomb coming out from Redhawk. Mark takes down TKB. But River Lucky having none of it. The kill feed starting to fill up with blue. 3 kills in favor of North Texas. Executing, able to take down Captain Carlos, but there goes another one in favor of North Texas. The point is so close to flipping back. There's another kill in North Texas. It's just, they were the story of that fight.
Yeah, they definitely are, but they are not done quite yet. The charge comes in. Can they stop the Rhyme from actually getting on the point? They do, so that's going to be map 1. Actually going to go over to UNT.
Point 1 on Nepal.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, you got it. So we're going to see North Texas taking that first section there against Texas Tech.
So round 1 wrapped up as we are going to get into the second map. That was a very solid comeback from Tech to be able to fight back and flip it. But unfortunately, it looked like they were a little bit lost for adjusting to how the Doomfist was coming into the fight, disrupting all of the backline. And Doomfist later and later in this tournament has had such a huge impact in everything. I think because you don't see him too often, it throws so many people off guards, especially considering that you can have people play him at such a high level.
And we have seen GOATs being very popular on this section before. This is, of course, Village. Texas Tech going to be looking to turn this back against North Texas, try and take this to that third section. Oh, asleep onto Samston, but he gets woken up before they can take advantage of it. The Maywall misses for North Texas, and there's the advantage. 2 kills already for Texas Tech. They're looking to press them into that corner. Make it 4-5. Reebok gets popped out of the mech, but it's not going to be enough. TKB messes up yet another Maywall. I think we're going to need a switch there from North Texas. We do see the McCree coming out in favor of the Doomfist, so Texas Tech getting what they needed to do, forcing River Lucky off of that Doomfist pick.
This is looking really good. Oh, we saw a little bit of a Widowmaker right there from Spawn. TKB trying to take out Leisure Force. Will not find the pitch, so we'll see what they end up coming out with, but the McCree extremely respectable.
River Lucky almost going down there. A clutch shield from Zarya.
Oh.
He is able to get the takedown with Barrage before he gets stunned, and there's a big shatter. Mark and Reebok right there to clean up on it, and that's Texas Tech taking that fight with ease. 30% built up already.
So that was very interesting from the McCree. He actually ended up falling to the rocket barrage, but of course for the projectile and the time that it actually takes to get the rockets out, he was able to actually get a flashbang and likely save a little bit of the rest of his team before they got picked out by the rest of Texas Tech. So this pick is good mid to shorter range, of course, since he has harder fall-off damage, but still going to be really good for utility with the flashbang, as Neat is going to go to sleep.
And yeah, Neat again getting slept there, but North Texas going to try and take advantage of it by getting onto this point. You see so many people anti-naded on the side of Texas Tech. Joe getting such a big nade, but they weren't able to take advantage of it. Captain Carlos going to take down Reebok's mech, and Samston Neat with the block of his shatter. River Lucky going to find a kill and executing. Here's the nano. They're trying to push back. They're not going to let them retake this point just yet.
Yeah, that's such a high charge. Zarya gonna melt through that Diva, and they will finally fill up the point. It's close to 80% on the side of Tech, but they have a little bit of time to work with, maybe do a dry push moving forward where they're not going to use any ultimates or commit too hard into the next fight, but force UNT to commit something of their own, considering that they want to win it decisively. So it's going to be a little bit of a mind game here to see what teams are going to want to do as they move forward, but it doesn't seem there's going to be any swaps and everybody's just sticking on their pits from the last round.
And we see the tanks getting knocked off the high ground, but here comes an EMP. Neat and Executing caught in corners away from each other. Neat actually going to go down. Reepoch finding 2 kills on this D.Va, but 3 kills going back the other way in favor of North Texas. It's going to be tough for Texas Tech to turn this back. And here comes the grab. The Deadeye from River Lucky trying to find some value. And I guess it does because it finds that D.Va mech, forces out the self-destruct that doesn't really find any value. And River Lucky even able to take down Reepoch before he can remech. Already over 50% built up for North Texas, and they're showing great momentum here.
Yeah, long staggered time for you and for Tech rather to try and take that fight and not finding much. The percentage is ticking up. Gonna be closing in on 65 on the side of UNT as Ana sitting in the back. Ana's on both sides have been very solid for dishing out damage, being able to pick off Faros and whatnot.
Samson with a nice little wave there as they go into this Ryan battle on point. Both Reinhardts fighting for supremacy right now, looking for an opening, and that is not an opening. Samson trying to shatter, but did it get canceled? Well, he's able to take down a few, knocks D.Va out of that mech. River Lucky able to find 2 with that Deadeye, and this fight looks like it's going both ways, but North Texas might be able to pull this out once again.
Yeah, they're getting close to the percentage. They got to stay on the point on the side of Tech to be able to make sure that they don't lose in overtime. They did a solid job capturing the point first, but how much can they do once they're going to be staggering in? It looks like that got canceled.
Yeah, and look at that. Texas Tech able to flip it mid-fight. They're going to start building up percentage, and North Texas actually forced to disengage here. And I think the key thing there, Toxic, even though Neat goes down, Toxic was able to get the res onto Executing, which gives them that extra damage, extra healing, and of course the anti and the sleep dart to help them try and survive on that point, force TKB out on that Sombra because it's hard to be a Sombra against an Ana right now. Neat with a 2-man shatter finds River Lucky and TKB, but Samson finds 3 of his own. Executing goes down. There's the nano, there's the grab. What a play from North Texas. Perfect timing between this main and off tank, and that's gonna be it. North Texas pulling it out right at the end there, finding exactly the combo they were looking for.
Yeah, they utilized that extremely well, being able to come together and use the ults just when they needed it. It looked like Texas Tech started off so strong, but then UNT able to swing it back just when they needed it. So
and
we're
here
gonna see
it
that
is.
play.
We're going to see that play once again. You see here, Executing goes so low. Samson recognizes it, takes down that Ana, so there's no chance of bonus healing, and then just goes ham on the Graviton to finish off all of those kills.
Yeah, that hammer as well as the grab, just keeping the crowd control on Tech is going to be so big. If you can't move and you're able to get all of that damage onto them in such a small area, also picking off the Ana on the side of Tech at the very beginning of that fight was very crucial since you're not going to have all of that healing.
And so now we're going to be heading into our next map, which is, of course, Kings Row. I know there were a lot of changes with the map pool. So as we talked about, Kings Row, just one of the classics of Overwatch, and Goats is really, really strong right now, really strong on Kings Row. Are you expecting to see both teams run Goats?
Likely, just because of the way that the meta is playing out right now, and as well as for what the teams have displayed so far in the tournament. I don't think we've seen teams utilize going through the back alley, going up through the theater, around the high side, around the back, and then maybe utilizing a Lucio speed boost to get targets, or rather characters with less mobility across the gap, since there is a slightly bigger gap between the 2 high points that you can't typically jump across unless you're someone like a Lucio, a D.Va, maybe a Sombra, something along those lines. So that would be really interesting to me to be able to see something like that. Of course, we've seen crazy complex strategies, being able to rush through the hotel, go around the back end to try and get behind the defenders and then make them swap sides and whatnot. So there's a good bit of creativity that you can have on this map. Most teams have played pretty standard for that, so
So I'm expecting to see a little bit something different, but we'll see what ends up playing out.
Yeah, and also the high ground, so strong on this Kings Row first point. Taking high ground control is so important for both sides, and we'll see it right here. You see that statue of Takartha Mondada in the center, right next to the Alderworth Hotel, and so many teams. We have seen teams today try and hold from Hotel, try and get a sneaky hold there, but that didn't really work out too well either. So how do you really hold this point against Goats?
I think you have to be a little patient, and that's extremely hard with how quickly Goats works. And so, of course, rushing to the point, sticking together, maybe trying to get pits with double snipers, which typically you see it on offense more than on defense. For double snipers, it is an option that you have. But
it's definitely like advantageous to taking aggressive positioning, and it's very difficult to take aggressive positioning on defense.
Yeah, you're a little bit more limited for the positioning that you can exactly have on that high ground. Some of the windows aren't the most optimal locations to be, and they're better for you to get picked off in, considering that you're on that defensive side trying to look out, and then you have a sniper on the offensive side. So if there's like a Hanzo dueling against a Widow or something like that. But we're getting into our second map, Kings Row, kicking it off here. We'll see what teams lead off with.
We are going to see Texas Tech on the attack first. It looks like North Texas is running this Nest comp, having this Arisa Junkrat up top. The Diva simply there to contest the point because she has that mobility, and look at that, already demecking Reebok. There goes Toxic. This is a good start for this North Texas defense, but Leisure Force answering back, taking down TKB. Mark finds a kill onto Captain Carlos. They're still looking for more, but Mark kind of getting caught in a corner here. A nice headshot from Leisure Force onto River Lucky, but overall, a good first fight win from North Texas.
So we'll see if that stagger is going to come into play. Of course, Texas Tech losing a bit of members, but that pick on River Lucky at the very end, he doesn't have a speed boost necessarily, but he does have his bombs to be able to jump to the point. We'll see what that's going to end up doing for them.
Yeah, also we need to see where TKB on this Widow is positioned. He didn't really do much of anything in the first fight, so we'll see if maybe he can answer back, try and win some of that pride and really find some good damage. Meanwhile, Texas Tech is on this point right now, halfway to a first tick. North Texas looks like they're trying to play a game of cat and mouse, just keep them ever so close, but not quite there. There's a charge from Neat. Reebok gonna get demec'd. River Lucky and Executor going down. Look at that. 2 kills in quick succession along with a demec for this defense. But TKB, what did I say? 2 kills. Answering back on this Widow. The Nano onto the Brig, but the Brig gets shattered. TKB still raining down damage though. There's nobody to contest him. Diva finally gets that mech back. She's going to go after it, and TKB going to be forced out. I think we should start seeing them capturing this point now.
Finally going to be able to wrap up the final percentage on the point. That will be point A, going over to Texas Tech in a very respectable time, 4:40 on the clock, as they're going to push up and try to find a little bit of spacing, maybe get some hits on UNT.
TKB with a kill on the Executing, already starting off the fireworks on this Widow pick.
TKB saying, get off of me. Gonna send them back to the spawn. Put a little bit of a stagger on this momentum, but the payload is rounding the corner as they're trying to set up.
And Mark coming in on the flank with a 3-man grab, but just gets taken. And there we go. That's the combo they were looking for. Leisure Force from the backline tosses in that Dragon Strike, able to clean up easily on that grab, but I don't think that Nano was necessary.
Yeah, definitely not necessary on the Nano. It looked like that grab was almost going to be wasted, but then coming in with the Dragon Strike, and it will find all 3 targets that got caught up in there, so very solid execution. Hopefully they can clean that up just a little bit better moving forward so that something like that doesn't seem to slip away from them, but the payload is moving very nicely. Of course, gonna be up on the high ground, trying to rain down on the Rhine. Oh, gets hacked though.
Yeah, TKB switching over to that Sombra pick, finding the hack onto Leisure Force. Leisure Force going down very low. He's gonna get some help from Diva, but in the meantime, Executor free to go in on Neat, and other people on the low ground. Mark gonna go down as well. Reebok finds himself out of position. He's gonna get demec'd, and oh man, they could have staggered him a lot more than that.
They could, but nonetheless, just with everybody coming together, they ended up putting up a solid hold.
So good job from them to be able to fight back. And the payload's in a bit of an odd position for what we have. Getting it closer to that end point, you have to fight through the entire alleyway and then finally push. So we'll see, but the Sombra on the back line here causing a big ruckus.
So much damage into that D.Va. And there's the grab from Executor. The sound barrier comes out, but the EMP cancels all of those shields. They're all so low. Why aren't they getting pushed on?
Yeah, it looks like that they're just being patient, and the D.Va self-destruct is out. Oh, gets caught up on the high ledge there.
Yeah, unfortunately, but able to zone out exactly what they wanted. They're able to cap that second point. Still not sure what happened in the back line, but it looked like Neat managed to find 3 kills while Executor was looking for that grab.
So you had mentioned it as far as for the EMP gets rid of shield, so a character like Zenyatta, like Zarya, will be hit extremely hard by that, considering that you're able to get that out. It is going to nuke them, and Grav Search comes out, and here's the Dragons!
The Transcendence keeping everyone alive, but here comes the Anti just a bit too late, and the opposing Grav with Dragon Strike is able to get the combo they're looking for. North Texas might be able to stabilize here. It looks like they are.
Yeah, that was very interesting. You thought that they were going to get the win on the side of Tech when the Dragon Strike came out. However, the Trance there able to help stabilize them, and they did not end up winning that fight overall. And then you had a turnaround from the side of UNT from their own grab, and then also Dragon Strike. So very solid. Both teams playing a bit of mind games with each other, it seems.
Yeah, and it looks like North Texas trying to set up some kind of combo here. They're looking to engage this payload. It keeps on moving forward. They gotta take a stand sometime. Yeah, Texas Tech looking to push the advantage. There goes the EMP. There goes the Shatter. The Nano. So much damage coming out from Samson onto this Texas Tech offense, and that's gonna be a team wipe from them. North Texas with an amazingly executed combo there.
So this is a perfect example of how you can utilize the Sombra efficiently, being able to get EMPs above the ground so that you can't get shattered, you can't get hit by something like Brigitte, which we're not seeing in this game, mind you. But minding that spacing, since it's such a large AoE effect.
And the Dragon Strike from Raver Lucky, well placed. He doesn't need a Graviton, finds 2 kills. Samson able to pick up a 3rd. And look at that, with 1 ult, North Texas able to win that fight.
Yeah, this last point is always a tough nut to crack for sure on the side of the defense. It looks like we might be a little bit out of position there. Nope, executing, able to get out just fine. Now it is a matter of keeping track of ultimates. Who has burned what? Who's been putting out enough damage? When are certain abilities down? These are all small things that your team needs to know is happening. What can you bait out? Can you bait out the grabs? Can you bait out the biotic grenades?
And this Ryan game of cat and mouse going on once again. Here comes a Nano onto Neat. He's trying to push this advantage. He puts down the Shatter, but he gets slept by executing and antied. And here comes the grab from North Texas with the Dragon Strike coming through. So much damage. The Shatter coming down from Samson as well. Only a minute left for Texas Tech now, and they just invested 3 ults into that fight.
Yeah, that was worth it, I would say, for them. They did get a little bit more distance on the cart from the side of Tech, so they got to be feeling a little bit better, but we are in the final minute of the stage, so they're going to need to put everything together and have a wipe here. Since the spawns are so close on the side of UNT, this is going to go bad for Tech, considering that they can't get everybody down very quickly.
Yeah, they're trying to push in here. Here comes the grab. Where's the Dragon Strike?
I saw a hat come out, but I don't believe that was on. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, it must have been onto the Hanzo. Amazing awareness there by TKB, just as you were mentioning. They need to be able to play around these ults. A big Shatter finds 3 through Neat's Reinhardt's shield somehow. Executing, still alive, even though he went down during that Shatter. Even able to find a kill on a River Lucky. There's a sleep on the Samson as well. Reebok gets popped out of the mech. Only 5 seconds left. He's got to get to the point. He can't. And North Texas, going to hold Texas Tech on 3rd section.
That was still a fair distance that they were able to get on the payload for the map. It's unfortunate they're able to wrap it up and get that 3rd point, though, of course. But it's respectable. As we have seen on Kings Row, full holds are not out of the question. Maybe stalling on the 2nd point and kind of keeping them in the middle of the alleyways and the streets. having those fights really close range. We saw some Doomfist. That's where he excels. There's a lot of options, and I definitely wouldn't count Tech out just yet.
No, I wouldn't count them out at all, especially with how hard to push that second and third point is. I think they definitely have a chance. They just need to stay disciplined. They can't get frustrated. They had a good showing on that attack run, and the defense round is another round.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be getting into that in just a moment, of course. And I think something interesting, and this has been a talking point that I know we mentioned for the last semifinals, but supports become so important as you get higher and higher levels for gameplay. We're seeing these supports reacting extremely well, minding their spacing, staying further back, pushing up when they need to, being aggressive, just everything for their positioning and knowledge for the game. It's an extremely hard role to play since you're always so squishy and typically lack some mobility. So they're doing so much work on both sides, and you got to give them a lot of credit, even though support role is something that's typically overlooked in most games.
And a lot of people don't realize they have so much potential for damage output, and it's about this delicate balancing act of damaging and healing your team, and even using that damage to help create combos. Like we've seen so many from Mark and Joe, and executing the sleeps and the anti-nades so on point today so far. We'll see. Hopefully we can find some more as North Texas looking for their attack run right here. The hack trying to come out for Texas Tech, not quite getting there. And North Texas just going to fight this on the point like a GOATS team should.
So executing, trying to get the hack, doesn't get it, falls out of range for that, it seems. Samson swinging away on the point, nobody's fallen. I think that Toxic has fallen, and looks
Toxic
like that
and Neat goes down as well. A good anti-nade from Mark, but it doesn't really get much done. 3 more members from Texas Tech go down, and that's going to be it. A very fast first point cap from North Texas.
Oh, that's such a solid time. 5:45 on the board. We saw 4 minutes from Tet, so for UNT to fire back and be so strong here, you got to wonder what Texas Tech is going to reply with. And executing, looking to be in a little bit of trouble, ends up getting out, so solid placement for the translocator.
Yeah, executing, really the summer play from both sides has been very, very good, especially TKB. It seems to be one of his comfort picks as Texas Tech looks to take the fight to North Texas right now. And oh my goodness, TKB with the combination with the anti-nade. TKB coming in, 2 kills, 3 kills. Somer isn't supposed to do DPS. What a play by TKB using that SMG to rack up kills for this North Texas offense.
Being on the front line like that and able to just mop up the rest of the team, such good synergy from everybody on UNT, knowing when their advantage is. Now keep in mind everybody who's used their ultimates on both sides, and we can of course see that up on the screen, seeing what combos are possibly come out. Is Tet going to fight this really strongly? You think that they have to?
Yeah, we see the hack coming out underneath. There's a grab from this North Texas offense with the Diva Bomb. 3 kills for Executor. Leisure Force finds 1 from the Hanzo, but that's all there is to speak of for Texas Tech in the kill feed. Everyone else is back to the spawn room.
Didn't seem like they used any other ultimates on the side of UNT. It seemed that that was the self-destruct, and that pretty much solidified the fight for them. So extremely good job on them to be able to use their ultimates and all of their abilities to maximum efficiency. Tech unfortunately didn't find too much. Hack comes out.
There comes the EMP into a shatter from Samson. The grab comes out from the defense. Sound barrier keeps them alive though, but they're still finding the kills. North Texas pushing forward onto them. Mark goes down, Toxic goes down, and I think that's going to be it. North Texas should be able to push here.
Yeah, it seems that this is all but over. The time ticks down. Jesus, UNT looking so strong.
And so disciplined as well. The ult usage, perfect. I mean, just amazing control of the ult economy, and that's another thing. Not just the support play, but the ult economy at this level of play, so important to always have that advantage, never overuse. Here's a great advantage right here, the play of the game, featuring this combo, and somehow getting credit for pushing a Diva mech off the map.
Now, very solid play from them. Look at River Lucky, 38 LM, 66 participation, just hitting everybody that he can. And I think that something that was interesting is that we sort of kind of saw some Zenyatta's to counter that sort of combo, but he basically nullifies 2 ultimates by himself, considering that you can use it right. Of course, Ana is going to be a big factor into that, considering that you're able to get the biotic grenade in the back line to be able to nullify all of that healing that he puts out. But if you're not able to swing that through the shield and then you end up missing that grenade, then you're going to lose out on the damage from the Dragon Strike and from the Grav Surge, just holding them in place. So we'll see if there's any adaptations like that made, but of course it depends on what the character pools for everybody is.
So we saw a fantastic match in our second semifinal. We are going to be going to our final between North Texas and Oklahoma very soon. So North Texas is going to be fighting for the pride of all of Texas right now.
They definitely will be. Of course, us here in Dallas, we are possibly rooting for them, but it depends on where you're from, I'm sure. So we will be getting into our power talks when we come back, actually, as well. So make sure that you guys stick around for that, and make sure that you're keeping up with all of those achievements on the OP Live app as well. As mentioned, that will be around the power talks and also with the final. So make sure you're sticking with us, and we will get into the power talks when we come back right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OP Live Nation. We are here in Dallas, Texas, but we are joined by somebody from OU. Callie, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good, thank you.
Wonderful. And coming from out of state and being able to get into the finals, did you actually think that you would be here?
Be in the finals?
Yeah.
We had high hopes it would be in the finals. Yeah, we were really expecting that we could make it.
Yeah, you guys are looking very strong. As far as for the organization and everything at your school, how long has that been set up?
Our org actually just had its 1-year anniversary,
nice.
But our Overwatch team was only founded last semester. We only played in one TESPA tournament before this one.
How was your placing in the TESPA tournament?
I think we made top 16 out of like 250.
Nice, so pretty solid showing. Did most of the roster actually stick with you coming here?
Yes, actually, I think we have 4 returning, including me. on the roster.
Okay, nice. And so as far as for other tournaments aside from TESPA, have you guys actually had the opportunity to compete in anything else?
No, actually, we just finished tryouts just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Like 3 weeks ago, and we've just been scrimming for the last few weeks to get ready for this because it was very rushed. Because we just started the semester, asked for people to apply, did our applications, did a couple tryouts, and then made our team from there. So.
Well, things are looking very good for you, at least here in the tournament. Is this your guys' first LAN?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
What's the difference like, especially being on the stage? You have the crowd, you have the lights on you, you being on camera and everything. I saw you working the camera a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. First of all, because you can't see the crowd when you're on stage, right? It's very much, and it's quieter on stage than it is if you were, like, in the crowd. So, honestly, it wasn't, as bad as I thought. I was pretty confident up there.
Yeah, no, you guys were looking very solid, feeding off the crowd. We can hear you from back here in the caster booth, so keeping that energy alive, I really appreciate that, especially from the crowd here and everybody who stuck around. So,
and shout out to HyperX because their headsets are awesome.
Yeah,
so,
I saw you guys rocking those.
Yeah,
I have
they
those
really
at home,
help
so.
with the noise cancellation. I'll say.
They really do. And as far as for the teams that you've come across, at least so far, of course, your toughest challenge is likely coming up. Who actually gave you the biggest run for your money?
I think Colorado State did.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They took game 2 from us. We pretty much held them, like 2-0'd them on a control point first game. Second game, they won Kings Row against us. And then third game, we were able to pull out a win. So, but they were our biggest challenge.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, we weren't able to see that on stream, but we will get to see the best of you guys coming into the finals. And as far as for the roadmap for you guys in the future, do you guys have any other events planned in the very near future? Do you have anything planned in long haul?
I mean, ideally, right after this, we'll sign up for TESPA in their preseason and hopefully compete in their online tournament in the coming months. So, I mean, that's all we have planned right now, unless another tournament like this comes along.
Yeah, no, I think everybody's definitely been enjoying seeing all of you on stage and giving just a great show for this. And we'll be kicking it over to another interview in just a second. We're going to be getting with UNT and their captain to be able to talk to them and see how things are coming up. Did you have any last-second things that you wanted to shout out or tell UNT coming into this finals?
Boomer Sooner.
All right, there you go. Boomer Sooner. We will be right back. We're just going to transition real quick over to the other interview, and then we'll see you all in just a sec.
Hello and welcome back. I am sitting here with Will, the captain of North Texas, and we just saw them have a strong showing in the semifinal against Texas Tech. So we wanted to bring him back for a few questions before the finals go down pretty soon here. How long have you had an Overwatch organization at your school?
We've had it for a while, actually, but I started last year, and there was already a team beforehand, like from the year before.
Oh,
so
really?
Not a lot of them stayed with us, but we did keep Sam. Sam's been here for a while.
People
boys
like people like graduated and left.
Yeah, people graduated. People didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah,
It just happens.
I've seen that a lot. People just like don't have time to play anymore.
Yeah.
College, gets gets pretty tough. So I'm wondering, how many tournaments have you guys like played in so far?
Really, we've been to a couple, mainly online tournaments, like
Yeah.
just open tournaments, but nothing like too big or on land too much.
So would this be your first LAN?
Yeah, this would be mine.
Okay, so how is it different? Like, is it what you expected?
LAN, it's not bad, get used to it real quick, but no, crowd doesn't faze me. We also practice all together, so I'm used to seeing my teammates, talking
Yeah.
to them, see their face.
Yeah, it is nice just to like be all together in one spot when you're practicing. It's a lot easier for communication, things like that. So when you came, were you expecting to be here, to be in the finals?
Yeah,
Yeah?
definitely. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't come here to lose.
Had some confidence going in.
Yeah.
I like that.
You gotta
Okay.
come being the best.
Well, what was your hardest challenge so far?
So far, bouncing back from our first game, we actually dropped our first game to OU.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So
we're not gonna make that mistake
the
again. I don't think.
rematch coming through in the finals
Yeah. So
for UNT and OU.